Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk on a Monday. We are back from the weekend with 3 hours of sports talk coming your way today on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online, 580WIBW.com, and streaming on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Greetings and salutations. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome back. We are glad to be with you for 3 hours today of 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski starting the show with you today. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. We got a lot of baseball to talk about on today's program as the Royals are past the quarter pole in this Major League Baseball season with the fourth best record in the American League. That's good news. Bad news was it was a rough weekend for the boys in blue as they saw their winning streak come to an end with losses to Boston on Saturday and Sunday. And we saw the Royals get outpitched, which is not a thing we have said very often about one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. We will recap the weekend series against the Red Sox. In particular, some thoughts about yesterday's losing pitcher, Seth Lugo, who gave up a pair of home runs, registered a quality start, but didn't get any backing from the offense in a 3-1 loss in the rubber game at Kauffman Stadium. So we'll recap the weekend, take the short view of things and also the broad view as we have hit Dayton Moore's favorite point of the season, the 40-game mark. Royals are actually 42 games in now. The 40-game mark, a time to take a look at your team and decide what you have, accurately be able to assess for the first time what you have and what you need. So what do the Royals have and what do they need and how quickly, barring an early opening on the trade market, which I don't think is particularly realistic at this stage, and we'll talk about why. Buster Olney had some thoughts on the trade market. We're well ahead, obviously, of the trade deadline, 2.5 months away from the Major League Baseball trade deadline. But barring an early opening in the trade market, how can the Royals address some of the things that are issues for them right now? We'll get into that. So lots of baseball to get into on today's program. We'll also, of course, preview game one of their 3-game series tonight as the Royals visit Houston to take on the Astros. First pitch tonight at 7:10, meaning pregame coverage at 6:30, meaning for the first time this baseball season, you get a little 580 Sports Talk overtime. So we'll take you up until 6:30 tonight, and then we'll hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network at 6:30 ahead of tonight's first pitch as the Royals try to start a new winning streak against the Houston Astros. So lots of baseball on today's show, but we're not leaving football out of the equation today. It is a Monday after all, so we'll have Matt Verderame join us at the bottom of this hour from Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Matt will join us, as he always does, on Mondays. Our NFL Insider will get his thoughts on the latest developments in the NFL and a look ahead to schedule release day, which is Wednesday. We can't air it because we got Royals baseball Wednesday night, but there's even a Westwood One national broadcast of the NFL's schedule release.
I saw that
on national radio. It is distributed like Westwood One distributes Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. We are obviously unable to carry it. We'll have Royals baseball, but it's a big deal.
Who is carrying that? Like, seriously.
Listen. If it were Thursday night, the Royals were off, or if it had been Wednesday and the Royals were playing a day game, 580 WIBW would have been airing that. Tell you what, I get us some more sports content. I try to deliver for the people, but no, we'll have some things to talk about NFL-wise with Matt Verderame. We always do, so he'll join us at the bottom of the hour. Also, more buzz for Brashard Smith. He might be the buzziest of the rookies as a 7th-round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk a little bit about how that running back room is shaking out for Kansas City. Plus, all the other things you've come to know and love from a Monday edition of the program. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, Top of the 5 o'clock hour, we'll bring you a new week of What Is Wrong With You. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. That's coming up later on this hour as well. Plus, your interaction with the show. Want to hear from you as we go along on this Monday. The text line is 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the comments on the YouTube chat. If you're watching along on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, jump in the live chat on the web browser or mobile device. If you're logged in on YouTube or your Google account, you can interact with us, chat with fellow listeners throughout the show. Good afternoon to Lenny the Cool, Ryan, Paul is in. Our guy Trenton is in. What's up, Trenton? Christopher and Vance are here as well. And we say hello to all of you and hello to everyone else who will join us in the YouTube commentariat throughout the program.
Yeah, hang out with us. I watched a little of the NASCAR this weekend.
Did you? Did you catch the NASCAR?
I caught 11 laps. I had some other stuff going on. I mean, it's Mother's Day. We might not have time on the show to get to this today, but I was just reading, actually, before the show started, a column over at Yahoo about the state of NASCAR currently, and it was not the most well-attended race in NASCAR history at the Kansas Speedway yesterday. They raced on Mother's Day. They didn't. Apparently, that did not always happen. And gearheads, you know better than I, but that was not always the case. They didn't always race Cup Series on Mother's Day. This writer at Yahoo was like, Kansas is my favorite track in the whole circuit. Like, I think it is the best racing track that we have given the current generation of car. But there's an issue if, like, we're not selling this place out. But that being said, the race was also over like 3 laps in because who was it? Kyle Larson? Is that who it was? Yeah, just destroyed them. He won every stage. Every single stage. Had the fastest lap.
No 580 Sports Talk bump for Ross Chastain, unfortunately. Finished 18th.
Top 20?
Yeah, hey, listen.
Top half?
Yeah. Staying pretty consistent in his place in the point standings. Ross Chastain, if you missed it, joined us Friday on 580 Sports Talk. No bump for him. No bump for Verity Crawley either at the Go Bowling Topeka Open. She finished 4th. That's not a bad showing, but we were hoping we'd get a winner last week. Hoping we can give a 580 Sports Talk bump to the winner's circle for our 2 guests for the events, the professional events in the state of Kansas last weekend. But hey, look, we'll do our best for our next guest for sure. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about that. We'll get into that a little bit. It was good for our wives. It was their first Mother's Day. So we both kind of did our best to make yesterday special for them. That meant ignoring a NBA playoff game I cared about a lot. But you do that for the women in your life,
of course,
mothers in your life. And for those of you out there, who are mothers, happy belated Mother's Day to those of you, and for those who are not, hope you got to spend the day with your mother or the mother of your children. And if you did not, then I hope that you were able to pass along wishes. And if they're no longer with us, I hope their memory was a blessing on Mother's Day yesterday. Let's get into some baseball, shall we? Royals lose yesterday 3-1 and lose the series to the Red Sox. And again, you got to take the macro view when it comes to road trips and homestands. Going 500 on the road is a good road trip. Winning homestands are good homestands. Royals went 5-2 on this homestand, helped along by playing the White Sox, yes, but think of how different this would look if they hadn't taken care of business against the White Sox. They tricked one off. They hadn't gotten the gift of Chase Mydroth trying to catch a pop-up with his forehead on Tuesday night. We went 5-2 on the homestand. That's an outstanding week of baseball, and that's an outstanding homestand. But we saw something this weekend that we haven't seen a lot of, and that's the Royals getting out-pitched. Garrett Crochet out-dueling Cole Reagans on Saturday is the bummer, but that's not out of the realm. Crochet is really good. And there's always a chance when you have an ace versus ace matchup. Some days, the other guy's ace is better than yours. And Reagans wasn't quite his best. Got nickeled and dimed to death a little bit in that last inning of work for him. And then that game got out of hand late because Angel Zerpa continued to struggle. But that was ace versus ace, and sometimes you lose that matchup. And that's what happened on Saturday. Yesterday, it was more surprising that the corpse of Lucas Giolito was able to beat Seth Lugo. That was not something that I would have penciled in going into the weekend, but the Royals just could not get anything generated, only 4 hits. And the season-long woes with runners in scoring position continued for the Royals because they were not lacking wholly for opportunities, but they were certainly lacking for the big hit. I wanted to talk about Seth Lugo, who went 6 innings yesterday, gave up a pair of home runs, including the go-ahead 2-run homer to Jaron Duran that ended up being the difference in the game. So Seth Lugo, with that loss, he's 3-4 on the season, but we don't worry about starting pitcher record. That's not really indicative of how good a guy is going or not. We're 9 starts in with Seth Lugo, and like the raw numbers are still good, right? 302 earned run average, close to 3 strikeouts for every walk. He's leading the American League as innings pitched, 56 2/3, continuing to be a workhorse for this Royals rotation. I don't know that we're going to get 2024 Seth Lugo, though. And the difference between the two is highlighted in 2 statistical categories: home runs and strikeouts. The home run rate for Seth Lugo has doubled from last year. He gave up 16 homers in 206 2/3 innings last year, 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. He's at 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. So it has doubled. 9 home runs allowed in 56 2/3 after he gave up a pair yesterday. Strikeouts are down over a strikeout per 9. He was at 7.9 strikeouts per 9 innings last year, 181 in 206 2/3. He's at 42 strikeouts in 56 2/3 so far this year. That is 6.7 strikeouts per 9. And the strikeout percentage, accordingly, is down about 3%. And we saw the strikeout rate tick up as the weather warmed last year, and perhaps that repeats. But the long ball problem is, well, new to the version of Seth Lugo, who is a Royal. He was pretty consistently around 1.2 home runs per 9. And by consistently, I mean that was exactly the home runs per 9 in 2021 when he was a full-time reliever with the Mets. In 2022, still as a full-time reliever. And in 2023, in his first year as a full-time starter with the Padres. So it's not a surprise necessarily, given his career norms, that Lugo is a little bit more profligate with the long ball so far this season than he was last year. But when you combine more damage being done on contact and more contact, what you're getting now is, and I don't want this to get lost, this is a guy you're still happy to have take the ball every 5 days. We're working on now 5 straight quality starts. He has not given up more than 4 runs in a single outing this year, and he's gone 6 or more innings in 7 of 9 starts. That's workhorse stuff. But is it number 2 starter stuff? If the home runs are up and the strikeouts are down, that's what I'm not sure it is. And it would be really nice if he were that number 2 workhorse behind Cole Reagans, but I don't know that we're going to get that guy this year. We might not get that guy.
No, I'm with you. And that was my big, there were 2 worries I had pitching wise coming into this year. I guess you could stretch it out to 3 if you want to break one of them down. One was health, and that is just going to be a specter surrounding this team all year because Reagans has already missed the start. Thankfully, it was only 1. He didn't have to go on the IL. It was just the 1 start. But, when you have guys who don't ever miss time for a full season, it makes you worry that, hey, there's some unfortunate regression to the mean. You hate talking about it, but that's Major League Baseball, especially with the way guys throw nowadays.
Health regression for pitchers is a real thing, yeah.
The other concerns were about Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha. And not like, oh, God, I'm worried they're not going to be good, but as older guys and Lugo not being a full-time starter for his whole career and pitching a lot last season. Let's not forget, there were not many guys who threw 200 innings last year. Seth Lugo, a dude in his mid-30s who has spent most of his career as a middle relief guy, was one of the pitchers who threw over 200 innings last year.
It was a 60-inning increase from his previous career high, which had occurred the year before.
I mean, remember...
And that doesn't even count the playoff innings.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the conversation we had? Like, hey, do they need to go to a 6-man rotation to save some innings from Seth Lugo? Because he ain't no spring chicken, and this is a lot of innings for a guy who has never thrown this many before. But he was so good all last year, and the production is still there. But there's also a reason if you get into the underlying metrics and stuff to think, okay, the fastball velocity is down. The hard hit rate is up. Guys aren't swinging and missing. Guys aren't chasing pitches outside the zone nearly as much. This is still a useful, good pitcher, the profile of what Seth Lugo has done. And I like to reference those numbers a lot just generally speaking, they're also not the be-all, end-all. There are other mitigating factors here. You know what a big one is? When you've got really good defense behind you, infield and outfield, you're pretty content. Like, you can live with the ball being hit harder when Bobby Witt has elite range and can go all over the place and make stops all over the left side of the infield. There are mitigating factors here, right? But that being said, if he's not going to pitch quite to the level he was last year when it was kind of unbelievable, the fact that he was able to be that guy, well, suddenly your overall quality of your rotation does dip a little bit. Now, here's the saving grace for the Royals. Not even saving grace, because Lugo has still been productive. But the stretch to say saving grace, Michael Wacha has been awesome. He's going to go tonight. We'll talk about him in the 5 o'clock hour before the game starts. Michael Wacha has been great, and his peripherals have been very impressive for a guy who's thrown as many innings in his career as he has and who's been in Major League Baseball as long as he has. The other thing is Kris Bubic has been awesome. He has been sensational. So you start the year with Seth Lugo as your clear number 2, but we're probably at a point now, and we'll get to more quarter of the season stuff later as well. He might be technically number 2 in the rotation because he follows Cole Reagans. Your number 2 starter right now is probably Kris Bubic.
I don't think there's a probably about it. I think his performance certainly makes that clear. And you have to, again.
And that's fine. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
You have the same guys, but if one guy's pitching better than the other, so what? You're getting the same production. It's just a difference of whose name is on the marquee any given night.
So I think it's important that we don't, we're not sitting here writing off Seth Lugo. Well, no, throw him on the scrap heap. No,
of course not.
He's been good. He has given the Royals length, which is super important. The fact that they've been able to count on him for 6+ just about every time he takes the ball. They've been in every game that he has pitched. And our guy Trenton points out correctly that 4 of the 9 home runs he's allowed this year were in that one game against the Yankees. So you throw that out, and the home run rate looks a little bit more forgiving for him, and maybe that number has been goosed by one bad start in a closet, Yankee Stadium, and that home run per 9 number is going to come down to something a little bit more reasonable, a little bit more playable as we go along, with also the possibility that the strikeouts tick up, because we're not wish casting here. That's what happened last season. I think he had 14 strikeouts in his first 34 innings last year. It was something like that, and the number went up, and it was about mid-May. He had that 8-inning outing against the Angels where he struck out 11 or 12, and it took off from there. So it would not be a surprise to see Lugo fully return to that form. But your point about Kris Bubic is why I don't think it's a concern, that if this is the version of Seth Lugo that we do get the rest of the way, if there is no spike to the strikeout number, if the home runs remain a little more than you'd like out of him, the Royals can still be competitive because Michael Wacha has been really good and Kris Bubic has been great. And so you're looking, again, rather than take the micro, 2025 Seth Lugo is not as good as 2024 Seth Lugo. The Royals were excellent last year because they had 4 really good starting pitchers at the top of their rotation. Do they have 4 really good ones right now? Yes. And the order that they pitch in might look a little different in terms of the relative quality you're getting right now. You're getting maybe a little less than you wanted from your number 2 starter at this stage. Again, we're really picking nits because the ERA is good. Mentioned the quality start number, and again, leads the American League in innings pitched. That's what you signed up for with Seth Lugo. You wanted some depth. But your number 4 starter, Kris Bubic, and he's pitching way above what you expect from a number 4 starter. So it balances itself out, and it's how you get to a point, and the Royals are at this point here on May 12th, where they have the second best rotation earned run average in the major leagues.
You just have to be able to adjust, and is he a 2 starter or a 3? In the long run, it doesn't really matter. But you just have to be able to adjust your expectations that, okay, Seth Lugo, game 1, opening day, he was your number 2 guy. It doesn't look like he is going to be that guy this year, but Kris Bubic is, because Kris Bubic has been phenomenal. He's been their best pitcher so far this year on the whole. Fine. So what? No big deal. The national baseball coverage is usually slow to adopt to those things because there's a million games. There are a lot of games over the course of the year. What would it be in total? However many. Yeah, there's over 2,400 games during the season, right? It's hard for big picture baseball to catch up to those things. But if you're a Royals fan, like, okay, we had one of the best number twos in all of baseball last year in Seth Lugo, or Reagan's, depending on how you want to look at it. This year, we also have one of the best number twos in all of baseball. You just have to make sure you match the correct name to the correct position. Because right now it's Chris Bubich. And if Lugo is going to eat up a ton of innings and still keep you in a game every game, that's one of the best 3s or 4s in all of baseball.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of complaints about Seth Lugo. I think it is fair to say that so far the numbers suggest that he's not quite reaching his 2024 form. And again, he's 35, coming off of a career high in innings. If he doesn't get to his 2024 form, that would not be an unexpected outcome. But it would also not be unexpected if these numbers in this 9-start sample can still turn in a positive direction for him, because they have turned before. We're going to take a time out here in 580 Sports Talk. We got lots more Royals to get to in the 4 o'clock hour and the 5 o'clock hour. We're going to talk a lot of baseball on the program today. Some good comments in the YouTube that we'll get to as well. But first, we got our good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. That's coming up after this break. Plus, Matt Verderame will join us. You were just getting started on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was here on 580 Sports Talk. I'll start. My good, got to play golf with the great Fulton Caster. Uh-oh.
Our bad is our studio camera keeps falling.
Yeah, our camera committed the unalived itself there.
Flip over to your camera. We'll get this taken care of.
You can look at me for the time being. I got to play golf with the great Fulton Caster on Saturday out of Forbes. Jake LeBon joined us for 9 of the 18 holes as well. It was a little 580 Sports Talk reunion on the links. Jake has still got some game. You know, he'll say self-deprecatingly that, You know, if he had kids, he's not the same player. Nah, man, he still bombs it out there. And
He probably makes some financial deals on the course
I'm sure
sometimes.
he
I
does.
believe you were correct about that.
He can still play a little bit. But I matched the score he shot on the front. I matched on the second 9 with my score. So I played okay. And Fultz, for a golfer, he's a good fisherman.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. My good for the weekend was I was toiling away mowing my backyard yesterday, and my neighbor, shout out to Alan, great dude, came over and saw me working hard, saw me sweating like crazy, brought a beer over to the fence, leaned over and said, "Looks like you could use a beer." And now I did not have the heart to say I do not drink, but that is an incredible show of respect, man to man, dad to dad.
Absolutely.
Guy to guy, neighbor to neighbor. So you bet your ass I took that beer. And I said, thank you. It was very nice. It was a Yingling, in fact. So, Alan, shout out. Major respect.
Absolutely. And, Fallon, you want to bring me a Yingling anytime, I'll drink it in front of you. Spencer, what was your good?
So this is an interesting good. It was a bad, potential horrible that turned into a good. Just got the resolution here a little bit ago. So obviously I live here in Kansas, but my parents live back east in Virginia. So I wanted to get my mom something for Mother's Day because I usually spend it with her. Didn't the last 2 years. So I ordered her something from strawberries from a website that goes by Larry's. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Come on.
And they were supposed to be delivered between Friday and Sunday. And I was like, all right, be on the lookout for something between Friday and Sunday, probably Saturday, because it's like, 2 days into it. Nothing shows. And then I get an email yesterday. We tried to deliver, and my mom was out with my sister. And I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but this isn't coming. And then I got a call from their support, and the person said that the delivery driver got into a car accident.
Jesus.
Yes, on the third day of delivery of a 3-day period. And so then I spent like 30 minutes on the phone with them. Finally figured out they sent the replacement today, and my mom just got them. So
there you go.
That's the good.
Very positive.
Sorry that was very long.
Yeah, my bad. I got a bug bite right above my ankle. The worst place to get a bug bite, right above your ankle. It's the worst.
My bad is there was a part while mowing my lawn yesterday. There was a part that was so deep I had to bring hedge trimmers outside to cut it, to shorten it, so my mower could trim it.
That's tough. You got a bad, Spencer?
Yes, it is also my ugly. It is the Washington Capitals performance on Saturday evening.
Not great.
No,
not great at all.
Not great. Let's go ahead and wrap it here. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with Nat Verderame, talk some football when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, covers the National Football League, also appears on the podcast on the KC Sports Network called That Football Show, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon called The Matt Verderame Show. Joined us every Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, some big NFL news from last week. George Pickens on the move, dealt from Pittsburgh to Dallas for a couple of draft picks. Seemed like Pittsburgh was kind of over the George Pickens experience. Did Dallas overpay, or do you like the move for both sides?
I kind of fall on the other side of it. I don't like the really agree with team because on one hand, okay, so if you're Dallas, you're giving up a third-round pick and you're swapping picks, fine, you're fine, whatever. But you're giving up a third-round pick. Does George Pickens make them good? Because in my opinion, they're the exact same team, but like a little bit better offensively. They're still the third best team in the East. They're still not a playoff team. If they are a playoff team, they're going to get whacked in the first round of the playoffs. I don't understand giving up a top 100 pick for that. It might be top 75, depending on how well they play. And they didn't extend him. So you're not extending him, which I don't blame them for not extending him. I would have extended George Pickens either. But you're not extending him, and you're giving up a top 100 pick. That is a very bold move. On the flip side, if you're Pittsburgh, look, I don't blame the Steelers for wanting to move off of him. He's been a pain in the rear to deal with. However, you're kind of trying to win now. Like, if you go out and sign Rodgers, you're trying to win right now. You're not trying to win 2 years, 3 years from now. You're trying to win right now, 2025. I don't know how this helps you. It doesn't help you. And if you had just let him walk at the end of the year and some team gave him 3 years and $75 million, you're going to get a third-round comp pick for him. So I don't love the try. I don't think it really moves the needle for Dallas. And I think if you're the Steelers, you got worse in the year that you're trying to make a push.
Matt, do you think there's any chance, mentioning Pittsburgh and now, like, DK Metcalf to me is a better version of George Pickens. Like, I think they do kind of the same things, but DK is a better player and much less of an insane person. There has been some chatter, though, that there might be some teams around the league, Green Bay being one of them, that might have some, bottom of the roster wide receivers that are available. Romeo Doubs, not necessarily bottom of the roster, but he's also kind of been replaced by the Packers' first-round draft pick, and he had concussion problems last year, probably not going to get re-signed. Do you think that Doubs or any other similar kind of wide receiver who's going to hit free agency soon could be a trade option now for Pittsburgh?
Maybe. I mean, I think the Steelers should certainly listen. But again, the hard thing is now if you're Pittsburgh, okay, you've got an extra pick, but you now have this massive hole at receiver because you look at their depth chart. Their depth chart is atrocious beyond DK Metcalf. You could do that, but it kind of feels like shuffling depth chairs on the Titanic here. And I just wonder, if you were going to make that move, then why didn't you draft the receiver in the draft in a meaningful spot? Like, what were you doing? I get it. You don't have the second round pick. And I love their draft, for the record. I gave them an A grade. I think it's the highest grade in the AFC. Like, I loved the Harmon pick. I liked Caleb Johnson pick a lot. I liked the Jack Sawyer pick. But if you knew you were going to trade Pickens, you should have maybe done something to draft the receiver. Now, again, this also brings up the question, are they all in on Rodgers? Because if they're not, then that trade makes more sense. But then the Metcalf deal is like, okay, so I get it. He's long-term. He's also approaching 30. I mean, the Steelers just feel like they're in a very weird spot where like everything they do, the timelines don't really match. TJ Watt's in there in the last year of his deal. Cam Hayward's older. It's a team that feels like half the team's on one timeline and half the team's on another.
Our guest is Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, our NFL insider, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Other big NFL news from the weekend, Derek Carr calling it a career, had the shoulder injury that it sounded like was going to at least cost him all of the 2025 season, but then announced his retirement over the weekend. And this is not a joke or a shot at Derek Carr, the player who was at times very good, at times maybe a little overcompensated for the quality that he brought to his teams. But do you feel like the Saints maybe feel like they catch a break with Derek Carr announcing his retirement in terms of the salary relief they get and the clarity they have now with their ability to move on?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, probably. They probably do feel that way because they weren't going anywhere, and they know that. Look, the Saints have to accept reality here, and they need to just let this thing bottom out. Like, if I'm New Orleans, I am having a full-blown fire sale between now and the trade deadline. You want Chris Olave? Make me an offer. You want Alvin Kamara? Make me an offer. You want Tyrann Mathieu? Awesome. Give me a day 3 pick. Done. See ya. Who do you want? I mean, maybe Cam Jordan because what he means to that franchise and that city. Maybe. I sit down with him and go, hey, look, do you want to get traded? If he says no, I would respect that. Anybody else? See ya. Gone. I would trade anyone off that team that could bring me back a draft pick. I don't care how much dead cap I eat. It doesn't matter. They need to reset their books. That has been true for what feels like a decade at this point. This team this year is going to be awful. I mean, unless Tyler Sloat comes in and is just unbelievable, they are going to be bad. I mean, they might really be like 2-win bad. So, if I'm the Saints, yeah, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to just say, you know what? No pressure on Kellen Moore. We need to just completely overhaul this thing. And if Archie Manning comes out next year, Archie Manning comes out in the draft, it's great. Thank you. That's it. I mean, that's what I would do.
The quarterback room for the Saints is now Tyler Shuck, their second-round pick from this past year, Spencer Rattler, and Jake Haener. That's really fun for college football sickos like Brendan and I, who watched a lot of, in particular, Rattler and Haener, a little late-night Fresno State action in his college days. But is that the worst quarterback room you've ever heard of?
It's up there. It's, I mean, look, the Browns are like a strong word at the moment. But it's bad. It's it's just, unless you really believe in Shuck, Rattler can't play. Haener cannot play. Those guys are just, I mean, I don't even know if they're backup NFL quarterbacks, honestly. They're certainly not starters. And if I'm the Saints, I'm not trying to middle this thing and have Carson Wentz come in. Like, why? For what purpose? I am legitimately saying, if I'm this, I would try to go 1-16. I would try to go. I wouldn't even care. Fine, bottom out. Look, I grew up watching the Chiefs all those years, and they had Carl Peterson the back half of his tenure as GM, and they would just every year it felt like try to go 8-8. They would do anything they could to just be respectable enough that nobody would lose their job, but not good enough they were actually competing. There's no worse place to be. The Saints have been in that spot for years on end. They need to just let this thing bottom out, reset the cap, move forward, and then go and try to win some games here in 2027, 2028. But yeah, look, I think at this point with Carr retiring and the injury and everything, they're not going to have a choice. I mean, they are going to be. They're going to be brutal.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He joins us every Monday at this time on 580 Sports Talk to talk all things NFL on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. You can find Matt's great work at SI.com and in Sports Illustrated, also on the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon and that football show at the KC Sports Network. Momentary pause from football, Matt, because I've got to ask, what's the vibe check on your Knicks?
I am a Knicks fan who I like to think is realistic. I had no thought they'd ever win the series going into it. I thought the Celtics won 5 games. I was beyond stunned, like everybody else, that they came back from 20-point deficits in games 1 and 2. I was severely disappointed in them in game 3. Not so much that they lost, because you knew the Celtics would come out and get married and had, but I thought the Knicks' effort just sucked. I thought they were late closing out. I thought they were terrible getting 50 balls. The offense had no movement off the ball. I don't have high expectations. Like even at 2-0, I didn't think they'd win the series. I thought they'd probably just lose in 7. The Celtics are just better. I will say this: tonight's the game. To me, this is Game 7 for both. If the Knicks win this game, I know 2 of the other 3 are in Boston. I think the Knicks would find a way to win one of the last 3. If the Knicks lose this game, like maybe they'd win Game 6 or something, but I don't see them winning the series. I just don't see them. I think, look, I don't feel great about them because it feels like it's going to have to be one of these nights where Brunson's going to score like 45 points. And then you just hope that OG or Bridges or somebody else chips in with like 20, 25, and they can do it. Towns does his thing. Yeah, I don't know. It still feels like the Celtics will find a way to win the series.
We'll get to some more NBA playoffs a little bit later on in the show during our playoff roundup in the 5 o'clock hour. Back to the football field, Matt, or at least to like NFL Network and Twitter accounts this week. Schedule release coming on Wednesday night. I know back in the day over at Fansided, you used to predict every single game when the schedule came out. I'm sure your mental health is a little bit better now that you haven't done that project in a couple of years. First of all, how excited are you for Wednesday? Second of all, what's your bold Chiefs schedule prediction?
So I love the schedule release. I think it's a lot of fun. I'll have like a running, I guess like a running tracker all day on Wednesday on SI.com where I'll be talking to people in the league, trying to find out leaks, and then also if there are other reporters who get leaks, we'll throw them all into like one big document so people can follow along, and then go from there. And there'll be stuff throughout the rest of the week. But I love it. I think the schedule is, honest to God, the most underrated thing in the league, because people always say, "Oh, who they're playing." Yeah, but it matters. Like if you're the Chiefs, are you going to Buffalo in September or December? That game's a different football game. This is like if they don't have the Dolphins on their schedule this year, but if the Dolphins are coming to Arrowhead in September, it's a lot different than if they see them on January 3rd. It matters. So I'm a big schedule nerd. I'm a big schedule guy. As far as a bold prediction, look, we pretty much all know it sounds like the Chiefs are going to play week 1 in Brazil against the Chargers. I will predict that the Chiefs will play either on Thanksgiving or Christmas because they play at Dallas. So now the Packers also play there, the Vikings. It could be one of those teams, could be a divisional game, although we saw that they're playing the Eagles, although that you wouldn't think they played both those games in prime time. I'll say that the Chiefs either are playing in Dallas on Thanksgiving or for the third straight year, Christmas is on a Thursday this year, you're getting the Chiefs on Christmas.
Really hoping that's not the case.
Join the club.
Go ahead.
We're joined here by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, still no resolution to the Bengals Trey Hendrickson contract saga. How do you think this continues to go down through the mini camps all the way up to training camp?
Well, I will give the Bengals credit in the sense that I've sat here many times, not only in this show but other shows, and said, listen, I didn't think they'd pay Chase and Higgins. I thought they'd pay one. I didn't think they'd pay the other. They did. They paid them both. Now the Higgins deal, I'd argue, is an unbelievable deal for the team. I think if you actually look at the details of that contract, I don't know how T. Higgins signed that thing. But in any event, Hendrickson's different for two reasons. He does not play on Joe Burrow's side of the ball, and he is looking at the wrong side of 30. I actually do not blame the Bengals for playing a little bit of hardball here, because if I'm the Bengals, I don't want to sign him for $4 and $120. I think that's probably a bad investment just because of his age. He's been awesome. Led the league in sacks last year. My guess is if you're the Bengals are going to sit there on a hard line and just say, look, take it or leave it. We're not trading you unless we get the value we want. And their value, according to everybody in the league, has been that they were asking for a very high pick. And I think if they don't get that value, they're just going to sit there and say, what are you going to do? You're going to really sit out, not play this year, and not get paid? You're not going to do that. So I think they'll play hardball with him. And then I wouldn't even be surprised next year, if he has a great year, do they tag and trade him? Something like that. So the hard thing is with the Bengals, he is it defensively. I mean, if you look, we're just talking about the Saints quarterback room. If you look at the Bengals defensive depth chart, that thing is an atrocity. Like they need Hendrickson to be Lawrence Taylor to have any shot defensively against a good offense. So I have a hard time thinking unless they just get an overwhelming value for him. I think he stays there. I don't think they're going to give him a new deal unless he takes a real team-friendly deal. And if you're him, why would you? Why would you do that? So I think they'll just kind of be in limbo here for a while. And I think he'll eventually show up to camp and he'll play.
Matt, let's wrap up on a Chiefs question. Aaron Schatz of ESPN wrote a piece last week about positions of need for all 32 teams following the bulk of free agency in the draft. Landed on left guard for the Chiefs. Sounds like it's going to be a battle between Kingsley Suamataia and Mike Caliendo for that left guard spot. Do you think the Chiefs are satisfied with that as their position battle? Could you see them kicking the tires on a free agent guard, or do you believe that there will be an amenable solution at left guard for the Chiefs that's already on the roster?
Oh, I remember when they moved Cooney that day, speaking to some people around that situation, it was was told, look, Phil Mate is the guy. Like he is the left guard in this team. If he's not the week one guard and it's not because of injury, that's a disaster. Okay, like anybody who wants to sit there and say, well, it's really about, no, it's not. No, it's not. If he does not win that job, it's because A, he was hurt. Okay, fine. Or B, he was so bad in training camp / the preseason that they said, we can't play this guy. He's unplayable. We got to go another direction. Okay, like they are looking at Kingsley as the guy at that position. They feel he can slide inside and play. I don't think they're going to go out and get a veteran guard unless it is so bad in camp that they just look at each other and go, we got to do something here. But no, I think that the point, they're week one, and they're hoping he plays a lot better than he did a year ago at tackle.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated. SI.com, appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. He joins us every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We will step aside for a break, come back, and wrap up the 3 o'clock hour 580 Sports Talk after this. I might spike this one. A little too fiddly for me.
No?
Do you know what song that is?
I do not know what song that is.
I know what it is.
Is it Song of the South?
It is Song of the South.
Yeah, I might spike that one.
Sweet potato pie. Yeah.
I'm just giving Spencer a hard time. That's Spencer behind the table. Brendan and Dan with you on 580 Sports Talk on this Monday. Our thanks again to Matt Verderame joining us. If you're watching on our YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, you saw our camera do the Nestea plunge during the second segment of the day. So that's why you're looking at a 3-shot right now. We're going to try and get that fixed.
Throwback.
Before it is a throwback look. We're going to try and get that fixed before the start of the next hour. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Royals at the 40-game mark. This is where Dayton Moore feels like he can give an accurate assessment of a baseball team. So let's give our most accurate assessment of the Royals as we can through now 42 games and talk about what, if any, immediate corrections the Royals ought to be looking at making. These are obviously going to be from within because the trade market really isn't open yet. Speaking of the trade market, Buster Olney had a piece today on ESPN about how he expects the trade market to develop. I have a thought about the Royals and being opportunists that I think is not in their plans, and why it would not be in their plans, even if you could make a game theory case for why it might be in their best interest, and also why it might be really hard to fill the void that they desperately need to fill. Plus, what is wrong with you is coming up as well. That's all in the 4 o'clock hour. Stay with us on 580 Sports Talk. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Monday afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And thank you for watching, if indeed you are checking out the video stream today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on Facebook at WIBW News. However you're consuming the show, we're just glad you're checking us out here today on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis, gang's all here. We're with you until 6, then we'll have a little overtime until 6:30 as we get you set for Royals baseball tonight. 7:10 first pitch at Dayton Park. I did not know it was not Minute Maid Park anymore until like 25 minutes ago.
It will always be Minute Maid Park.
It will always be Enron Field to me.
Uh-oh.
The home of the Astros.
It'll always be the Astrodome to me.
Well, no, that's the not different physical building. The Astrodome is still standing.
Probably shouldn't be.
No,
they can't tear it down though, right? Well, it's A, landmark, but B, isn't it like the material is so poisonous they can't destroy the building?
It's right next to NRG Stadium.
Yeah, it's just storage.
What's always wild to me is when they show like the overhead shots of NRG Stadium during a Texans game. And you see how big that is compared to the Astrodome. And you think about when they opened the Astrodome in 1969, it was the 9th wonder of the world. Yep. Like nobody had ever seen anything like the Astrodome. And it's so small in comparison to what is right next to it is now the home of the Texans. It's striking.
Can you guess what the most attended event inside the Astrodome was?
Was it a Selena concert?
It was not Selena.
That was my first guess. Notre Dame Houston basketball?
No. Good guess, but no. Spencer, any guesses?
A concert of some kind.
It was a concert of some kind. George Strait.
I could see it.
68,266.
And Selena could now draw that?
Apparently not.
It's Texas.
I don't know how many seats it has.
Hey, it's George Strait and it's Texas.
True. Then it's also Selena and it's Texas. How big was the seating capacity? I don't know. In 2008, it was deemed non-compliant with fire code.
Mm-hmm.
However, because it's on the National Register of Historic Places, it cannot be demolished. I really thought there was something like the turf was so poisonous that like the material is so bad for you they couldn't demolish it.
That might be possible, but it's also not the reason why the Astrodome's not going anywhere. Anyway,
didn't they want to do something with it though? And it got tabled.
I'm sure they would love to do something with it other than just like store chairs.
You should turn it into a museum. It should be a museum of the city of Houston and Houston sports. It'd be a very easy thing to do. Not easy, but you know what I mean. That would be a way to repurpose the building, and so it's not just a ghost town. Anyhow, where the Astros play now and have played since the early 2000s is where the Kansas City Royals are tonight to open a 3-game series. 7:10 first pitch, 6:30 pregame on the Royals Baseball Network. 2 notes from tonight's lineup. Salvador Perez back behind the plate for the first time in 12 days, and Bobby Witt Jr. DHing, getting half a day off, as they call it. So getting the legs some rest. Michael Garcia will play short, and Bobby Witt Jr. gets a day off from playing the field.
Nice to have a guy like Garcia who can play all over the place.
Yeah, that is a fact. Shouldn't be too much of a drop off with the glove.
While we have a moment before we get to the beef of the hour, happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Hope you had a fun celebration yesterday, whatever you were able to do.
You guys call your moms?
Yes.
Yep. Yesterday was my mom's birthday, in addition to it being Mother's Day. So that overlaps.
Double whammy.
Yeah, it overlaps pretty often. So we always call the weekend Mama Palooza because generally speaking, birthday and Mother's Day are really, really close. And this one was I don't think I'm talking out of school. My mom's it's inappropriate to refer to a woman's age. I don't think my mom cares all that much. She turned 60 yesterday. So it's a big milestone birthday for her.
Happy birthday.
So it was cool. And always, as the son who moved away of the 2 of her sons, and my brother lives like 5 minutes away. I'm the son that moved away and never moved back. But I always
relatable.
I feel guilty sometimes about not being able to be back there. And this was definitely one where I felt like, man, I wish we could be there. But we got our own, it was my wife's first Mother's Day. We celebrate with her family. We got Asher now. So it was special in a different way for us too. So, but yeah, glad you guys were able to call your mothers. Hope you all who are able to call your mothers were able to call them yesterday and celebrate Mother's Day.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
It was a fun day.
Yeah, good first Mother's Day for Abby, and Asher was all over the place yesterday. He was cracking us up.
Yeah, my Abby, we for dessert, I made something I haven't made since I think it was 2021 that she has been asking me for a long time. So I whipped that up yesterday, surprised her with it. Felt good. That was major win.
What dessert are we talking here?
It's a cast iron skillet giant chocolate chip cookie that is stuffed with melted chocolate.
That sounds amazing.
Like like old Chicago vibes.
Yes. The Pope. It's what the Pope ordered when he went to Aurelio's Pizza in Chicago. Deep dish cookie. That's essentially what it is.
You made her the Pope cookie.
I did. We made the Pope cookie. That's essentially what we did. Except I don't think theirs is filled with chocolate. Honestly, it's super easy. I'll give you the recipe right now. You take the Pillsbury break and bakes. You just let them warm up a little. You just squish them all over the bottom of the cast iron skillet. You break up pieces of Hershey bar, put it in the middle, flatten out some more break and bake cookie, lay it on top, 375 degrees for like half an hour. Boom.
Nice.
You've got giant cookie. And it's delicious.
I'm gonna cut that and probably write it down, and we're gonna give that a go at the Lucero home at some point.
It's a big hit. Big hit.
We want to hear from you throughout the hour today. Royals heavy hour, so lots of baseball here on this hour, 580 Sports Talk. You can text us 785-272-9429. Your thoughts on what we're talking about, your cookie recipes. If you've got a big cookie recipe to share, text those in 785-272-9429. You can also get to it on the YouTube chat. If you are watching the show right now on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk is the channel. Subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you have not already. And you can interact with us and your fellow listeners throughout the program on our live chat on YouTube.
Should note here, doing a little extra research, because this is what we bring to you. Selena's not even the second most attended event at the Astrodome. That would be WrestleMania X7.
Oh, sure. That was Limp Bizkit's My Way, right? With the theme song to that one, or am I thinking of a different one?
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah,
that was the night that Stone Cold Steve Austin turned and aligned with Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, probably the peak of my my now these days non-existent professional wrestling viewing was right around then. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Undertaker fought Triple H, first of 3 times they fought at WrestleMania. Oh, yeah. That's a legendary one. That's a great one.
Selena's last show was at the Astrodome.
Oh, okay.
That's why, like, if you've seen the movie, and I have seen the Selena movie starring Jennifer Lopez. I have seen it close to a dozen times. And that is not because I am such a Selena fan or even because I am such a Jennifer Lopez fan. It is because that was the thing that a Spanish substitute in Spanish class would put on during class.
Yep.
So it's not quite accurate to say I've seen it front to back a dozen times. But that was the day. If the Spanish teacher was out, somebody had to cover the class who was not a native speaker, was not going to teach us how to conjugate the pluperfect tense. Nah, man, we were watching Selena.
No, that sounds right.
It's a good movie. Genuinely. Very good movie. Very, very sad story. Anyhow, this has been Talking Movies. How about we talk some Royals?
Let's do it.
We are 40 games in, 42 now to the Royals season. And we make jokes about that all the time because, well, we make Dayton Moore jokes on the program. And maybe we should make fewer Dayton Moore jokes because the guy does have a World Series ring. But at the end of it got pretty bad. So we made some Dayton Moore jokes. But one of the things that Dayton Moore was pretty constant about was the idea that the 40 game was where you could accurately assess what kind of team you had and how to address any weaknesses if you were going to make a push for it. The Royals are obviously going to make a push for it. They're 24-18. That's the 4th best record in the American League. Now, obviously, we're only at the quarter pole. Things are pretty packed tightly together. But the only teams in the American League with a better record are Detroit, Cleveland, and the Yankees. And Cleveland and the Yankees are only better on percentage points. That's a virtual tie because those two teams have only played 40 games and are 23-17. So both Cleveland and Kansas City are 2.5 games behind Detroit, who's 26-15. But it's percentage points that give Cleveland the nod over Kansas City, why Kansas City is today 3rd in the American League Central. 2.5 games ahead of suddenly surging Minnesota, who's won 8 games in a row. Best division in baseball again? The people are asking.
I was mentioning earlier that it takes a while sometimes for like big baseball media to catch up to what's going on with each individual team that isn't the Yankees or the Dodgers. The piece we're going to talk about a little bit later on, like what are the trends and themes of this year's trade deadline going to be? Buster Olney writes multiple times that the Twins might trade Byron Buxton. Not if they're playing like this.
Yeah, they are.
Surprise!
They are red hot. St. Louis is red hot. The winners of 7 in a row, only a game out of first place after their miserable start. Yeah, Toronto's won 4 in a row. Yeah, there's still so early in this. There's a lot that can happen. But Royals have the fourth best record in the American League. And again, only percentage points behind number 2 and number 3, and only 2.5 games behind the top spot. It's the 9th best record in baseball. You go over to the National League, the Mets, the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Padres, and the Giants have better records. The NL West is the best division in baseball. Actually, you have 4 teams that are quite serious. I think Arizona as a 4th place team is better than Minnesota as a 4th place team. We won't talk about the 5th place teams in our division. Throw them out. They're not serious. But 1 through 4, I think the National League West is best division in baseball.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, even if I think that there will be some regression for San Diego and San Francisco, I also think there will be some regression in the in the AL Central as well. So
it's also a little unfair to play in the West right now.
Well, similarly unfair to play in the Central.
True.
Yes. There is a 5th team that everybody gets to beat up on. Anyhow, so what do the Royals have? We're 42 games in. What can we say about the Kansas City Royals definitively? Well, we can say that they have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. In fact, they are the only team in baseball, thanks to Nick Capel from the Royals PR team for this stat on X, the Everything app. The Royals are the only team in Major League Baseball to rank in the top 5 in both starting pitching and relief pitching ERA. They got 2.97 starting pitcher ERA. That is 2nd best in baseball. The bullpen ERA, even after Angel Zerpa's blow up on Saturday, a 3.02 relief ERA, which is 5th best in baseball. And it's funny that to get to both of those numbers, it's taken a bit of a different shape than you would have expected. And that's not like unexpected when you're talking about the bullpen, right? Like relievers are notoriously fickle. Lucas Erceg having an ERA of 0.54, you might have hoped for that. He's been their best guy. The strikeout numbers are down weirdly, but nobody's hitting him and he's not walking anybody. So Lucas Erceg, certified dude. Carlos Estevez is taking care of the 9th inning. He's got 11 saves. He's got an ERA at 2.5. Daniel Lynch has been quite good despite the fact that he is not missing any bats. He's out there doing his best Larry Gura impersonation, 10 strikeouts in 19 and a third innings. But the ERA is below 1 in his 17 outings. He maybe had varying degrees of faith in all of those guys, and everybody knew that Chris Stratton was going to be buns, and he is. Well, not going to waste too much time on our guy, Chris Stratton.
Turbo ass.
Yeah.
I have not said that in a while, but it applies.
But coming into this season, you kind of thought, okay, well, the Royals are going to be able to lean on some left-handers because Angel Zerpa and Sam Long were really solid for them down the stretch, and maybe Lynch is the middle inning option for left-handed relief. And then John Schreiber, I don't know about Schreiber. He's probably out there with Stratton as the guy that you kind of wince when he comes into the game. Well, Long stunk and then got hurt. Zerpa continues to stink. I am really surprised. Zerpa had a great spring, and I really thought he was going to take the last 2 months of last season and the spring that he had and really settle in as a late inning, left-handed, hard-throwing option in that Royals bullpen. And then just nothing has gone right for him. He's allowed 25 hits in 15 innings. 4 of them have been home runs, which is a big time the strikeout rate, not really acceptable for a power-armed reliever, 12 Ks in 15 innings. The ERA, 7.2. He has been, other than Sam Long, the least valuable of the Royals pitchers. Long, Zerpa, and when it comes that has been a big disappointment. I think you could even say, I would call that the biggest disappointment from a pitching standpoint is how poor Zerpa has been.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that, you want a big surprise. Who's got the best strikeout rate coming out of that bullpen? It's John Schreiber. 16 and a third inning, 17 strikeouts. He's only allowed 12 hits. 3 of them have been home runs, which isn't great, but he's all of a sudden throwing 95, 96. And right now feels like a bit more of a viable option against left-handed batters than he ever did last season, where it felt like, okay, sure, he runs the sinker into righties, runs the slider away from him. Good option against righties. I never want to see him face the left-hander in a high-leverage spot to where, okay, if he's throwing 96 by people and he's able to, spot the slider a little bit against lefties. Okay, the stuff has gotten better. Then right now he is a viable option against same hand guys, and you can deploy him in different ways as a result. So the Royals bullpen, we thought it would be upgraded. It has been upgraded, but it hasn't been maybe the guys we thought were going to be the reason for the upgrade. It's been Schreiber, it's been Steven Cruz, who still hasn't allowed a run in 11 2/3 innings.
Yep.
It's been guys like that who have really floated this. And the end result is kind of get the pitching staff now. The team ERA being under 3 is preposterous. And that's going to regress a bit. But I do think we landed about where we thought we were going to land with this pitching staff. It just took a bit of a different turn. Bubic pitching like we thought Lugo might. Steven Cruz and John Schreiber providing the late innings zeros that we thought Zerpa and Long might. But we got to where we got. And I think that was what we kind of envisioned with the pitching staff at this point.
No, I think you're right there. And one final point on Schreiber, let's not forget as well, last season, he started out really, really hot and then was horrific from May through July. August and September last year, and the 1 or 2 games that had happened in October as well, 4 earned runs in 14 2/3 innings for John Schreiber. He had been relegated to not being used a whole lot at that point, but he was actually really good down the stretch last year. He was especially good in limited action in 180 ERA. Granted, only 5 innings, only 1 run allowed in those 5 innings. Way better than the 6 runs in 8 innings he gave up in the month of June. So not a ton of usage late, but he was pitching really well at the end of last year. So whatever the Royals have figured out with him and pitching specifically to lefties, obviously a major improvement. But this is continuing a positive trend for this coaching staff pitching-wise since the end of last year. Generally speaking, though, yeah, I mean, this is one of the best pitching staffs, all things considered, in all of Major League Baseball right now. And goes back to our conversation a little bit earlier on. You might not get 2024 Seth Lugo again. I mean, in terms of probability and likelihood, we will not see that version of Seth Lugo again in his career. It was awesome last year, but this year, is he productive? Yes. Is he going to keep you in games? Yes. Statistically, I test all of it. You are in a game when Seth Lugo is on the mound. Is he going to eat up innings and save your bullpen at least 1 inning a game? Usually, typically, yeah, that's kind of what he does. He is an innings eater, which, again, amazing considering his career up until the last couple of seasons when he was mostly a relief pitcher. If that's your 4th starter, if Michael Lorenzen keeps pitching well and hey, your bottom of your rotation is a, top of the outcomes scale Michael Lorenzen and this current version of Seth Lugo, and those are your worst 2 guys in your rotation. I mean, that's right there is one of the 2 or 3 best in the game, with Reagan's your true ace. Bubic has pitched like an ace, and Waka has been very solid.
It's kind of crazy to me that so getting Lorenzen last year in that trade, and then him pitching pretty well down the stretch of the year, but then not immediately re-signing, testing the open market, that nobody went and signed him.
Wanted to stick around in Kansas City, I guess.
But nobody gave him something.
Yeah, no,
right?
I'm with you.
So KC gave enough for him to stay late. It took a while for him to re-sign. You would think maybe somebody else, the teams are missing out on this guy.
He's certainly been a godsend as the number 5 starter. I mean, think about where they would be without him. They're still waiting on Alec Marsh. They'd be waiting on Kyle Wright. They would probably had to have gone to Noah Cameron, or they would have had to move Daniel Lynch to the rotation, or would have been one of those 2. And Cameron had a really nice big league debut, but that might have been early for him to get to the major leagues. It would have been having him start as the number 5 starter. So yeah, Lorenzen's been really, really solid as your number 5 starter. So pitching staff, about what we thought, maybe overperforming a bit through 40 games. The offense on the flip side has been about what we thought, limited behind your superstar Bobby Witt Jr. And probably underachieving through the first 40 games, with guys like Salvador Perez only having 2 home runs, or Vinny Pasquantino carrying an on-base percentage of 266. Those 2 guys, I still think their best offense is still ahead of them. I still think those guys are going to get going and get back closer to what we know as their norms. And I'd say the same for Jonathan India, too. Again, this is an established veteran. I think he's probably been a little more affected by that hip than maybe people are letting on, and that has kept him from maybe driving the ball. But even with his woes offensively, and the fact that he's slugging .301, he's still getting on base at a 325 clip, which isn't elite, but better than what the Royals were getting out of the leadoff spot last year. So you did still manage to upgrade there. Michael Garcia has been the great surprise of this season.
Yeah, been great.
OPS is at 845 going into today, and he's starting to get his legs back stealing bases. He's up to 10 for 15 stealing bases now, still providing a little bit of thump with a 472 slug that is second best on the team. Drew Waters being a league average hitter has been a nice surprise as well. But this is a lineup that by and large is underachieving for the reasons that we anticipated that it would underachieve. Is there's just not enough behind the best guys. And because the best guys haven't gotten going, it looks even worse. But again, like with the pitching staff, you would say that, okay, this Royals team kind of what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I would say so. I think, the offense has been a little bit of a disappointment or a little, let down, however you want to say it. They've underachieved, however you want to end up putting it. But it's the risk you run when you have enough guys in the lineup like the Royals do who you don't really have a whole lot of faith in. Like, started the season with MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe on the very end of his career. He's walking up to the 18th tee in his career. And, just Garcia being what he has been this year has been a major boon. I mean, that has really saved
Where
things.
would they be without Mike Kilgore? A guy, again, they were trying to push out of the lineup to start this season.
And Jonathan India has been a little up and down, but that has added some, an adult in the room at the top of the order.
A professional at bat.
Yeah, which has been positive, but Vinny with the cold start, he's starting to come around a little bit. I understand there's just too many weaknesses where if you're slumping, it's a disaster. But even if they're just playing to their level, their expected level, their expected production, you're still looking at below average offense. I mean, we knew they needed another bat going into the year, weren't able to add it for whatever reason. And now you're left with this, and it's winnable. You can win games and plenty of them like this, but this is the risk you run as you go through stretches where you can't get on base. You can't drive guys in, which is unfortunate, but as you said, not unexpected.
I want to point out that Bobby Witt Jr., it's happening to him again. He's got 2.6 wins above replacement, according to Baseball Reference. He leads baseball with 17 doubles. He's got 5 home runs. He's got 14 stolen bases. He's hitting .315. He's playing outstanding defense at shortstop, maybe even better this year than he was last year when he won the Gold Glove. And if the season ended today, he would not receive a single first place MVP vote because Aaron Judge has been Aaron Judge. It's happening to him again. Bobby Witt Jr. is cursed to be this unbelievable player having MVP caliber seasons and not get MVPs because Aaron Judge is the best player, maybe the best right-handed hitter we've ever seen. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's
only one other guy, only 2 guys in baseball have more wins above replacement than Bobby Witt Jr. Judge and Fernando Tatis Jr. from the Padres,
who is hitting a ton of home runs.
Yes, he is hitting a ton of home runs. Also, 4th place, your boy Pete Crow Armstrong.
He has been unbelievable. Absolutely incredible. By the way, you mentioned Witt might be better in the field right now than he was even last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, 99th percentile, outs above average. This year, 99th percentile, outs above average. He is you can't overstate how good he is in the field. And that's why I try to bring it up when I can. One of the biggest helps to this pitching staff is you've got that dude at short. And Garcia's got a good glove. Vinny has turned into a pretty nice fielding first baseman. Isbell patrolling center. You've got a plus glove out there. Having Bobby Witt Jr. at shortstop is a pitcher's best friend.
100%.
That is remarkable.
Couple of things I want to address from the YouTube comments before we get to a break and get to what is wrong with you. Joe asks, any concern for Cole Reagans and the high pitch counts? Some, not long term, but he does have to be more efficient. I'm okay with the high strikeout numbers. If he's going to strike out 12 guys, you're going to run up a high pitch count in those games where you're striking out double-digit guys. But he does need to be a bit more efficient in his outings. I think that's something that the Royals will work on with him. A lot of deep counts, a lot of strikeouts on 3-2 pitches and 2-2 pitches that you'd like to get those a little quicker. And if he sacrifices a little bit of strikeout stuff for some breezier innings and is able to work 6-7 innings more often, I think it's a trade-up he'd take, first of all, and certainly one the Royals would as well. Also want to address Vance asking if Michael Wacha's nickname is Fozzie, as in Fozzie Bear. See what you did there, Vance? According to Baseball Reference, Michael Wacha's nicknames are Wach or Guacamole.
No one has ever called him that, but I appreciate it anyway.
He probably put that on the back of one of his Players Weekend uniforms.
Yeah.
Remember Players Weekend?
Remember Brad Boxberger had emojis?
Yes.
The box and the burger.
The box and the burger. Yeah, man. Remember that brief period of time where Major League Baseball was like, let's do fun things with the uniforms.
Now let's just make them all ugly.
Yeah. Let's do City Connect.
Here's some ugly crap.
We'll take a break, come back with What Is Wrong With You. More Royals after that. This is 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? It's brought to you by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services.
What's up, Mo? How's it going, buddy?
If you need assistance with insurance and financial services, you know you got to call Mo, 785-273-1572. Two new stories today as we start a new week on What is Wrong with You. But first, an update on a previous monthly winner and yearly finalist from back in 2023. I don't need to ask, hey, remember this guy? Because you all remember Chiefsaholic. Today, Chiefsaholic was sentenced in Oklahoma courtroom to 32 years in prison. It will be served concurrently with the 17-and-a-half-year federal sentence that he is serving for robbing banks in 7 different states from 2022 to 2023. So he'll serve an additional 14 and a half years in an Oklahoma state penitentiary after his federal term ends. Oklahoma just wanted more. Yeah. Oklahoma felt like, because obviously that was where he was caught.
Mm-hmm. That's where he was caught riding the bike, right?
Yes. Yeah. That was his last big score. So Xavier Babadar, Chiefsaholic, will serve additional prison time in Oklahoma after his federal term ends.
Quote, this is from Steve Kunzweiler, the Tulsa County District Attorney. It was offensive to me that a serial robber could victimize as many hardworking Americans as this guy did all across the country and only get 17 and a half years from the federal government. My preference was for him to serve the rest of his life in prison. He caught another break today, but at least he's going to be serving some additional time. And my thoughts are with the victims who continue to be tormented by his violence. Do you remember Chiefsaholic's doofus lawyer?
Yes.
It's like, this case will be a touchdown. We are on the 1 yard line.
Xavier Babidar is making the run of his life for.
I'd put him in jail.
Trying to win life's Super Bowl. Yeah, he had metaphor on metaphor.
And they all sucked.
Yeah, none of them were good. 2 news stories today. I'll go first because this is one that hits close to home. Somebody called it a bomb threat to the Walmart on 1501 Southwest Wanamaker Road in Topeka yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Right down the road.
You know how I knew that? Because my wife was in the parking lot when they were evacuating.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so my wife and my mother-in-law on Saturday afternoon, they were out running some errands. They're looking for one very specific item that they could not find. They went to like 4 different places, couldn't find like a mat to put our cat food bowls on. Mm-hmm. We've moved the cat food because Asher gets into the cat food. This is a whole digression now, but Asher loves playing in the cat fountain and getting into the cat bowls, and we can't he's too fast for us. He's not walking yet or running yet, but he's too fast for us.
Sure.
So we got to put these things behind. We got to put him in the room where the litter box is, and we have a baby gate in that room, so we got to move the cat food. So we need a mat to put the cat food on, so if it spills, the water spills, it doesn't get the carpet wet. Anyhow, so my wife and my mother-in-law are getting out of the car in the parking lot at the Walmart on Wanamaker, and somebody says something about, I don't think you're going to get in there, or something like that to them, and they're like, yeah, they're evacuating people. Somebody made a bomb threat. My wife, what? And then sees 20 employees come out of the front door kind of at a brisk pace and says, okay, well, get back in the car and get out of there. Anyway, Topeka police says somebody called 911 just after 2:30 p.m. Saturday to report they had left an explosive device in the store. The store was evacuated. The K-9 unit and the bomb unit did not find any explosives, and the area was rendered safe just under 2 hours later. Who calls it a bomb threat to a Walmart? Disgruntled ex-employee, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But still, how
dislike.
disgruntled do you have to be calling a bomb threat? Because then you're not just messing with the store. You're messing with other people.
Yeah.
You're wasting people's time. Yeah. Bad.
On a busy Saturday afterone.
Bad
tons
deal.
of people, right.
A lot more people going out Saturday than Sunday because of Mother's Day.
We still don't have a cat mat. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
You ruined Dan's life, so you are...
Let's not go that far. Let's not go that far. It's a very minor inconvenience as these things go. Spencer, you have a story today.
Yes, it's going to sound familiar to one from last year because we've got another guy that Plexico burst himself.
Uh-oh.
We're going to head to northeast Miami-Dade, Florida. Rescue crews took a man to the hospital after he accidentally shot himself with his own firearm while inside a Walmart.
Another Walmart story.
In northeast Miami-Dade, officials said the gunshot startled shoppers at the large retailer on 163rd Street. Witnesses said some people ducked for cover while others asked what was happening. When asked whether she was scared, a shopper said yes. 7 news cameras captured the deputies swarming the area. When we pulled up, there were so many lights, so many cars, customers said. They went inside. The whole produce section was closed off, and they're told me to get out. So obviously expanding the search or whatever. Myra, another customer, said she was inside the store when she heard the shot. The guy dropped the gun, and then boom. Myra said she ducked. After the shot rang out, paramedics with the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue arrived and transported the patient to a nearby hospital. He is expected to be okay. As for the customers inside the store, they're grateful because the outcome could have been much worse. It's, quote, it's not the weirdest thing to happen in a Walmart. It's kind of expected, said Myra.
See, I'm going to disagree with Myra here. I might expect some weird people. People of Walmart.com existed for a reason.
Yes.
However, I don't expect someone to shoot themselves when I go to the Walmart, personally.
Accidentally.
Yeah. Accidentally or on purpose, frankly. I would not say that I expect that when I go to pick up some veggies.
I don't think you ever expect weirdness at a Walmart. 1,000%.
Yes.
Bring the gun to Walmart.
I expect people wearing things they shouldn't be wearing out.
So
that's about it.
I'm going to say that one wins today. We'll start the week with that one as our winner. You guys agree?
I'm with you on that one.
All right. That's our winner. What is wrong with you? Sponsored by Mo. State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Check out his website. Ryan Mo Winkle. That's MOHWINKLE.com. When we come back, ESPN's Buster Olney had some thoughts on the MLB trade deadline, which is still a ways away, but one thought in particular really stood out, and it's a theory that some people might say makes sense for the Royals, but I vehemently disagree, and I'll explain why when we come back. .443 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Brendan Spencer with you till 6 o'clock tonight, and then a little longer. We'll run some 580 Sports Talk overtime before we get to the Royals Baseball Network at 6:30 tonight. First of three straight 7:10 first pitches from Houston between the Royals and the Astros. Buster Olney had a piece at ESPN.com today about the 2025 MLB trade deadline, which is obviously still a ways away, July 31st. We haven't seen a lot of player movement yet. Don't anticipate that we will see much right off the bat. And this is something that Buster Olney speaks to in the article. And we've talked about it here on this show. The teams that are dead in the water right now as we stand, there are four of them who I would consider to be dead in the water. Colorado, Chicago, the White Sox, Pittsburgh, and Miami. And those teams don't have players anybody wants. That's a bit of an issue. Like maybe Pittsburgh, like certainly teams would call and say, hey, would you be willing to trade us Paul Skeens? And Ben Cherington's not going to take those phone calls. Maybe they could rehome Andrew McCutchen. They owe that to him. But like nobody's calling Colorado to kick the tires on Kyle Freeland, right? Like nobody wants German Marquez in his ERA over 8. Nobody wants anybody on the White Sox except maybe Luis Robert, and he has stunk out the joint so far.
Are you really going to rehome Andrew McCutchen that's 38, hitting 252, and just has 3 homers and 14 ribbies?
He would hit 6 for the Royals every day.
I don't know, but he's a guy that signed back there for a reason, so I don't think he'd want to leave.
737 OPS plus. It would be very easy to sell him on one last bite at a ring, which he's never won.
I do hear you. Like he intended to go back to Pittsburgh. I raise you. Bob Nutting owns the team.
That's true.
And he is actually evil. that would be my counterpoint, but I see what you're saying. Because he wanted to go back home.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So It's going to be until some other teams with some actual assets decide that they want to start selling off some players for us to see some movement. Yeah, your Nationals don't take enough grief. They're supposed to be good by now, right? They've got all their guys to the bigs. James Wood is there. Mackenzie Gore is there. C.J. Abrams is there.
Dylan Cruz is there.
They still stink. Your guys still stink. What the hell?
Yeah. No, you should.
Answer me.
The fans are saying the same thing.
Good. I'm glad.
Yes,
I'm glad.
There are fans that are no longer fans because they haven't done anything.
Okay, I just
every day I see it on the Everything app.
I didn't want to make sure they weren't getting off scot-free here.
What is wrong with you?
They ought to be trying. They ought to be a lot better than this. James Wood's so much fun. Don't waste his man. Anyhow. I'm mad on your behalf, Spencer.
Oh, I'm mad.
Okay. Mad on your behalf. Anyhow, Buster only makes this point at the top of the article. There could be more opportunists this year, talking about what the Rays did last year, because there were so few teams that were selling. The Rays, who were still kind of vaguely in the playoff race in July, saw an opportunity to say, okay, realistically, our best shot is a wild card. We're not going to win our division. Let's be a seller. Let's take advantage of an opportunity to be a seller and see if we can add some pieces that are going to help us in the future. So they were opportunistic. I don't think the Royals are going to have any interest in doing that. Even if we get to July, let's say we get to mid-July and the offense hasn't come around and the Royals are still sitting in third place in the Central, and Detroit hasn't slowed down, and Cleveland hasn't slowed down, and the Royals still find themselves with a shot at a playoff berth, but feeling a little bit more unrealistic than it does on this day, and maybe not thinking they can get back into the Central race. Would they think about being sellers? I say no, because it took them too long to get to a point where they were competitive. And I don't think you can do that to the fans. I don't think that John Sherman and J.J. Piccolo could turn around and sell that to Royals fans and say, well, hey, look, we're a 500 team right now. This was an opportunity for us to get better into the future. Like game theory wise, like if you're playing out of the park baseball on your computer and you're not dealing with human beings, you're just dealing with computer assets.
With binary code,
Yeah, that's the thing you do. And, oh, look at all the prospects I got. Look how I loaded up, and then in 5 years I'm going to win 120 games. It's not how it works, and you have to sell that to fans who are starting to come back to the ballpark. That is not a tack the Royals are going to take. The Royals are going to be buyers, barring an unexpected streak of losing that completely has them definitively out by late July. They are going to buy.
And I hate to bring up my cynical belief here, but if John Sherman gave the order, if he gave order 66 to J.J. Piccolo here, and said, sell, eliminate everyone, sell, you can say goodbye to a new stadium. Because the people of Kansas City and Jackson County, Missouri, who already said, hey, man, like, your plan sucks and we're not going to support it as is. And I genuinely believe a big reason why the Royals have gone out and been as aggressive as they've been in terms of adding major league talent recently, and I'm happy about it. I think a large part of that is John Sherman reading the room and thinking, okay, you know what? People aren't going to support us if we suck. I am hearing that everywhere. People will support us if we are competitive and fun and they feel like there's a reason to go to a game. I think if the Royals can stay competitive for another year or two, that whatever new tax or whatever they want to pass is going to pass with flying colors. Like, I don't think it will even be close.
No, I think that's absolutely part of the calculus.
So if John Sherman in 2 months, even if the Royals are like 3 games under or something and are floundering, if he says, nope, we're going to sell, like, got a good offer for Vinny. No, you guys love him. No, he's a great clubhouse guy, but we got a great AA prospect. It ain't happening. It ain't going to work for you. And I think John Sherman is smart enough to know that as well.
The other points that Olney makes in his article, number 2, the general mediocrity of the American League could greatly reduce its number of dealers. That's probably true. Teams right now that feel like they're going to be in sell mode, the White Sox would sell anybody not nailed down. The Angels will probably be in sell mode again. They had a nice little first 2 weeks, but they're 6 games out of the first in the West already. Baltimore is trending in that direction, but only makes the point, they're so talented, they could go on a run and
sure.
like they should be at a point where they're trying to add and make the most of the young and inexpensive talent they have, which I agree with. Tampa Bay's 18-22. Maybe they're a team that looks to sell, but they're a little more arm rich than they are bat rich right now. And then beyond that, it's hard to tell because everybody else is kind of floating around the 500 mark. And it'll probably break bad for somebody. Maybe it's Toronto. Maybe it's Texas if they don't start hitting. Maybe it's Houston because they're just so boring. Maybe Minnesota, even though they've been hot lately. There will be sellers, just not probably a lot of them in the American League. The other point number 3 was one we already made. The teams already viewed as potential subtractors don't have the talent that contenders want. Rockies, White Sox, so on. This is the big one, though. It appears the market for outfielders will be very thin.
Boo!
That is a disappointment. That is what the Royals are dying for. Name that comes up in the piece, there are 2 of them. One, Byron Buxton. We kind of talked about that earlier, that if the Twins are going to be red hot, they're not going to trade Buxton, Byron Buxton. They're certainly not going to trade him in the division. The Toronto Blue Jays are mentioned as well, saying they would draw a lot of interest for Dalton Varsho, an elite defender who won't hit free agency until after 2026. Varsho's only played 39 games so far this year. He's coming off of being injured. He was a 5-win player last year, despite being slightly below average defensively or offensively. That's how good his glove is. He won the Gold Glove in center field last year. Mm-hmm. He is a fabulous defender. He would be like a souped up Kyle Isbell, where like there'd be a little more with the bat because he's averaged 23 home runs per 162 games in his career. So you got more power. You maybe don't have the average that Isbell is giving you right now, but you would have even better defense. It would be a better option for the Royals.
He's a fascinating player this year. He's batting, Dalton Varsho is 194, but his slugging percentage is over 500.
Yeah, 4 extra base hits of his 6 hits in his first 31 at-bats of the season.
Hilarious stuff. Yeah, I mean, for his career, OPS plus of 97, that's just a shade under league average. Your option in right field right now is Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah.
Like even if you're saying, well, he's too good in center field, you're going to play him there, figure out something else. Sure, you put Isbell in right. And, like, I know Kyle Isbell's not elite by any means, but with that glove and his bat is at least, like, usable, which Renfroe has not been for most of this season, you can live with that.
I'd do a Dalton Varsho deal in a heartbeat. If he were available, I would absolutely, if I were JJ Piccolo, I'd be making calls.
He's a real little guy.
Yeah.
5'8".
Yeah, not real big. Dad played in the bigs. Gary Varsho, if anybody remembers. That's some guy remembering Gary Varsho.
Went to the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee.
Former Cub, Gary Varsho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, those were some thoughts from Buster Olney that I thought were interesting. Definitely still think the Royals are going to be a buyer, B, in the market for outfielders, but not looking like a promising outfield market right now. We'll take a break, come back, wrap up this hour. 580 Sports Talk next. Another name that came up in that Buster Olney article, a name that I was pounding the table for the Royals to acquire this past offseason, Nolan Arenado.
I would do whatever it takes.
It's off to a good start. St. Louis is hot, just one game out of first place in the Central. I think this is probably more death rattle than actually the Cardinals are good. And I think that the Cardinals entered this year believing that, hey, we're not actually good. We're gonna be sellers. And I think they get there eventually. Arenado's having a bit of a bounce back year. He's hitting 270, 778 OPS, has 10 doubles, 4 home runs, walking as much as he strikes out. It leaves you in an awkward spot with Michael Garcia, but on the second thought, no, it doesn't, because you just play him at second base and you bench Michael Massey and Arenado's your third baseman.
They were also headed into the weekend. They were at 500.
Right.
They swept the Nationals.
This is true.
Like,
well, they won 7 in a row. They had a good
Yeah.
series win over the Mets. Then they swept, Pittsburgh. And it's not a great division. It might keep them competitive for longer. But there's the smart thing for them is still, I think, to sell. So,
what do you need to give up? Like, figure it out. That is a player
one of your catcher prospects. Start there. And
cool.
Yeah.
Great.
I would do it.
I would do it too. I'm not even thinking twice.
Even with the big money he's still owed, I would still do it.
Yep.
I would
Agreed.
still do it. I'd go get a winner like him, a guy who I think Bobby Witt Jr. would love playing with him.
Yes.
I think he would love
It'd
that.
be the best fielding infield in a long time.
We got sports talk headlines. We're going to talk about the Chiefs running back room, and we'll preview game 1 of that Royals-Astros series that starts tonight, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Now, number 3 on 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Pleasant May Monday here in the capital city. We're glad you're spending part of it with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video stream. Catch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. And you can also watch us on our Facebook page, WIBW News.
May 12th, happy birthday to some American legends. Jim Furyk, 55 today.
That goofy golf swing.
Tony Hawk's birthday today, 57 years old. Good for Tony Hawk.
Man, I was never really into skateboard culture. Like it never got its hooks in me. And I got its hooks in my brother pretty good. My brother bought a board and tried to learn how to skate, and like it was never going to be my thing. I'm maybe a little too old maybe to have really been bitten by that particular bug. But when I tell you, I played so much Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh, yeah.
2 in particular. Yeah. Like there were 4 of them, and they were all classics, but 2 was my game, man. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I put in so many hours on that game. My brother and I would play together. Man, fond memories. And the soundtrack.
Oh, legendary. Tremendous.
The soundtrack to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
A lot of there's a lot of athlete birthdays every day. There's only 365 days, and there's millions of athletes. Mo Bamba's birthday today. Happy birthday to Mo Bamba.
You can't. I was trying to think of a way to reference the song, and I could not in a way that was radio friendly.
Steve Smith Sr., his birthday.
Ice up, son.
Let's see who else is having a birthday today. Lou Whitaker, Tiger legend.
Hit a walk-off home run in the first major league game I ever attended. I was 8 months old, but I was there.
George Karl, his birthday today as well.
Furious George.
Sure, you have very positive thoughts about George Karl.
I have lots of thoughts about George Karl. Predominant thought is, how did you not have an out-of-bounds play in the 2009 Western Conference Finals?
Non-athletes celebrating a birthday today. Rami Malek, who I believe played...
he was iRobot, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he played, what's his name? Freddie Mercury in the Queen biopic.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Let's see. Who else? Billy Squire. 580 Sports Talk, Inside Joke Hall of Famer Steve Winwood having a birthday today.
Stevie Dubs.
He's
got bangers. I have to refrain myself from texting Jake every time. When I'm driving around, typically I'll listen to Jack FM.
Sure.
And I have to refrain from texting Jake every time Higher Love comes on Jack FM.
Brett Garwitz as well, from one of my favorite bands, Bad Religion, his birthday today. And Emilio Estevez.
Charlie
Sheen's brother, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen's brother.
Our boy Ving Rhames as well.
Gordon Bombay.
Yeah. It was Ving Rhames' son who played for Howard a couple years ago, right? You saw him.
God, he had a funny first
name.
Freedom Rhames.
Freedom Rhames, yeah.
Yeah.
Saw him when he was at Howard when they played KU in the tournament.
Yeah, he was on the roster.
Yeah, so there's your...
Is Ving Rhames' birthday?
It is Ving Rhames' birthday.
Man, that's some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, Ving Rhames.
Yeah.
We have the Meats guy. A lot of pop culture impact today.
Stephen Baldwin having a birthday.
Felipe Alou's birthday today.
Oh, man.
He's still going. He's 90 years old.
Good for him. I remember when...
Good manager, very underrated player.
Yeah. Son Moises, of course, he was a Cub.
2,100 hits.
Burt Becker, Yogi Berra. Lots of good birthdays today. I really was only looking about 1950 onward because I thought I'm not going to know some of these older folks. But Katharine Hepburn's birthday today. Happy birthday to Kate.
I'm on the Baseball Reference birthday page. Gentleman named Chicken Wolf was born on this day in 1862.
Hell yeah.
Chicken Wolf, real name William Van Winkle Wolf. Chicken was the nickname.
I'm shocked.
Star of the Louisville Colonels of the American Association in the 1880s.
Of course.
Hit a league-leading 363 in 1890.
Wow.
Played outfield. Chicken Wolf.
Good for him.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Not a lot of interesting stuff today. Oh, they found the Lindbergh baby today.
Oh.
1932.
How about that?
Don't ask how they found him.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
But yeah, not a whole lot else going on, unless you're a big fan of the Greek War of Independence.
Didn't know we were doing this day in history out of nowhere. I used to do that when my first job in radio.
Yeah.
In Warland, Wyoming. We had a variety morning show. If you've ever lived in a small town that had a radio station that serviced that small town, you know what I'm talking about when I say a full service morning show. You got sports, you got the weather. I did that, but you also got like birthdays, and not like famous birthdays, not just famous birthdays. Like Martha is turning 77 today.
Shout out Martha.
Hello to Martha, and also Jack is 12. Happy 12th birthday to Jack. School lunch menus.
Yes.
Were on the show.
The last place I worked, when I would fill in the mornings, I had to go and find school lunch menus. And I thought this was weird.
No, not weird.
But where I was, maybe like it fit the show 20 years ago, but like they need to modernize it because
people still need that information.
The internet in this place is very great.
Hey, I had high speed internet in Warland, Wyoming in 2009 too, but we still need to get those lunch menus out. What else did we do? We had the swap shop 3 days a week. We had 30 minutes of the morning show where people would call in with stuff to sell or stuff they were looking to buy. We had the swap shop. It was that kind of radio. And I always I recorded sports and weather, and I came in to do like this day in history. And I would also do the swap shop with our morning host. Shout out to Michael Buckman. Good guy.
What's up, Mike?
Anyway, Mark way ahead of me in the YouTube live chat asking if I ever did swap shop. You bet your butt I did swap shop. Well, I forget what we called it. We called it something else, but we did 3 days a week. And it was the same people calling every week.
You told me what you called it once.
Oh,
we've talked about this.
I know we have, and I forget what it was called. And it's going to bother me the rest of the night if I don't come up with it. But anyhow, that's what you got. You got a little full service radio here to start hour number 3 of 580 Sports Talk. Here's what else you're going to get this hour.
If we still did the 4-hour show, we might do the almanac a little more regularly.
We would definitely
especially this time of year.
We would definitely do like this day in sports birthdays. You know, Lou Whitaker has more wins above replacement than any player born on this day in baseball. He's more valuable than Yogi Berra.
Wow. And Lance Lynn, apparently.
Great defensive player. NBA players born on this day include, you mentioned George Karl and Mo Bamba. Shout out to Keith Bogans.
There you go.
Football players born on this day include
Keith Bogans, former Bull.
Let's see. All-time passing leader on this day. Nope. All-time rushing leader on this day, James Wilder, played in the 70s, I believe.
Sure. So who's the leading passer?
No, Buccaneer. Leading passer, there was no full-time quarterback who was born on this day. So your leading passer is a gentleman named Shorty McWilliams.
That was also the name of my Tinder bio back in the day. Shorty McWilliams.
Shorty McWilliams. That's so good.
Oh, I missed another good one. George Carlin's birthday.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, good day for birthdays, unless you're a quarterback. If you were born today, you will not be an NFL quarterback. I hate to break it to you.
Shorty McWilliams played for the Los Angeles Dons in the AAFC in 1949.
The Dons.
And then suited up for the 1950 Pittsburgh Steelers, who went 6-6.
Huh?
Wow, it's like a late-stage Tomlin team.
Hey-o.
All right. We've got some Chiefs to get to this hour. We're going to talk about their running back room a little bit. A lot of Brashard Smith hype. The Brashard is gaining steam. Also, we will preview game 1 of the Royals-Astros series tonight. Pre-game coverage starting at 6:30, which means we'll have some 5-8 Sports Talk overtime. We'll re-rack our conversation from earlier this afternoon with our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, before we hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network at 6:30. But we've got headlines first. We got lots of headlines to get to today. Where to begin? Let's start with the KU football headline, shall we? This is from Michael Swain on fog.net. Rice tight end transfer Bowden Grown has committed to Kansas. We got to make sure we're saying that name right.
I think it is. Well, we'll find out for sure from Michael Swain tomorrow.
First name is definitely correct. I've got some Rice game notes up. Going to see if they give me a pronunciation guide with the roster. Bowden Grown. It might be Groen.
I said Groen today.
It is. It was
what it's worth.
We're all wrong. It is Gruen, according to the Rice game notes.
Gruen.
That is
gross.
Honestly, that is more pleasant than Bowden Grown.
Bowden Grown.
Bowden Grown.
Bowden Gruen.
Bowden Gruen.
Sounds like a German stew.
Is the young man's name. He is a tight end, and he is the newest member of the Kansas Jayhawks. He's got at least 1 year of eligibility left. Over the last 3 years, Gruen caught 60 balls, 556 yards, 3 touchdowns, gives the tight end room some much needed experience and depth to go along with the returning players, both of whom are from Kansas, Deshaun Hanukkah from right here in Topeka, and Leighton Cure from out in Goodland. So they needed another body with as much 3 tight end stuff as they do. When they lost Kean Burnett to the transfer portal, it was real urgent that they find somebody, and it feels like this is a pretty good piece of business this late in the portal window, picking up Bowden Gruen.
Yeah, he only played 4 games this past season at Rice. I think that was one of those I'm certainly going to transfer things. So only played 4 games, didn't have a ton of production. All 3 of his career touchdowns came 2 seasons ago. Notable to say he has at least 1 year of eligibility left. Free COVID year in 2020 at JUCO. Played in 21. Played as well in 22, 23, 24, but got a red shirt last year. So he may get the JUCO year back and certainly has 1 typical year left as well for Gruen.
I'm sorry. I just saw that Rice has the obvious this kid on their team named DJ Arkansas. The worst rapper name I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. He's lighting it up at a bar in Bentonville every Saturday.
DJ Arkansas.
DJ Arkansas. Maybe it's DJ Arkansas.
On the mix.
No, wait. I've got the horn. Let me do the horn. DJ Arkansas. I got to make sure it's turned up. There we go.
This is a big deal, though. He's a split tight end. He'll block a lot. Maybe a little bit, but he's a receiving tight end. Leighton Cure, fittingly, more of a blocking tight end, and Deshaun Hanukkah is your number 1 option at that spot, obviously. So, no, this is a good gig. KU really, really, really needed depth at tight end, so big pickup for KU.
Give me another headline, Brendan.
All right, my first headline. Let's get some news and notes from the NFL schedule, which will be released in full coming up on Wednesday evening, but a few games have been intentionally leaked to this point. So it's not really a leak. They've just been announced to this point. The first one, it was announced early this morning, the NFL kickoff game, Thursday, September 4th, Eagles versus Cowboys on NBC. I'm a little surprised they're burning a Cowboys game when they know the whole world is going to be watching the opening game of the season. Figured you'd save that for later in the year for a guaranteed ratings win.
Yeah, we typically do, but I think that's the rivalry that you would want to put
makes sense
front and center for the first game of the season. Usually, a lot of times, and it's the way it's been when the Chiefs have been the team to play on Thursday night when they're defending their championships. It's been like the up and coming team. Like it was the Lions, it was the Texans, I believe, one year.
Yes,
yeah, the COVID
Clyde
year.
Edwards-Helaire's first and best game of his career.
The COVID year, it was the Texans. Last year, it was the Ravens. It was a rematch of the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Usually, you get that. Instead, we're going to get the Eagles against a team that will be lucky to go 8-9.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, they a couple years ago they had Cowboys Buccaneers, which again, kind of amazing. They would put that game week 1, but I mean, people are going to watch for sure. When the Rams were defending their title, they played the Bills. To your point, like, okay, the hotness off the off season and the team that just won the Super Bowl. So yeah, that is your setup for week 1, first game of the year. We have also found out that in week 16, on Saturday of that week, December 20th, Spencer's Commanders are going to play the Philadelphia Eagles in Landover, Maryland, still at FedEx Field or whatever it's being called now.
Northwest Stadium in southeast of DC.
So that's the first game of the day. Bears-Packers in Chicago at Soldier Field will be the second game of the day for that Saturday doubleheader. That possibly sets up all 4 of those teams playing on Christmas Day, just like we saw this past year when the Chiefs, Steelers, Texans, and Ravens all played the Saturday before Christmas and then just mixed up who they were playing on Christmas Day just a few days later.
Or a wrench is going to be thrown into that because there is a third Christmas Day game happening.
That's true.
And with yet to be announced.
And let me be the first to say, I hope that the Packers do not play on Christmas Day because that sucks. I do not want that. I do not want my kid's first Christmas. I mean, she was alive for Christmas this past year, but she was 3 weeks old.
No.
Like where she actually is like somewhat aware of the world around her. I don't want it to be with me screaming at the television, yelling at Octavian Wicks.
Don't worry. Children don't form memories until they're 3. You're good.
True.
You're good.
One other schedule note. I thought this was fascinating. This is from Pro Football Talk. So It's been a very open secret for weeks, if not months now. The Chiefs are going to play the Chargers in Brazil to open the season. That I believe will be the Friday night of week 1. So the second game of the year, widely reported at this point. So Sports Business Journal had reported recently that the team that hosts, quote unquote, an international game is allowed to protect 2 of their home games. So like, oh, hey, we know we're going to get a great crowd. It's why the Packers actually never played a game internationally until 3 years ago, because it was always a guaranteed great crowd because they travel well. Same with the Steelers for the most part. But you can protect 2 games. The Chargers did not protect any of their divisional games. When normally you'd think like, oh man, like if you're the Chiefs, we don't want Broncos fans coming in here and having a big Bronco contingent. So we want to make sure we get that game or that's not a good example. But like, okay, some good team, the Bills are coming to town. Mm-hmm. We're going to protect that game because we want home field advantage when the Bills come to town. The Chargers don't have home field advantage against their divisional rivals.
Or anyone.
Or anyone. So they didn't even protect those games. They didn't want to be overrun at home by Raiders fans. So they said, yeah, you can move them internationally. That's fine. Chiefs? Oh, yeah, move that game internationally.
That's wild.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. So that is why you can expect Chargers-Chiefs in Brazil coming up in week 1.
Spencer, hit us with a headline, will you?
Yeah, and unfortunate career note here for K-State alum Serena Sundell after being drafted 26th. I believe that was it. Yep, 26th overall in the 3rd round of the 2025 WNBA draft by the Seattle Storm as they get their roster to the number needed for opening for their start of their season. She, along with some other players, have been waived. So unfortunate for her.
2 things here. Number 1, the Storm are down to 11 players out of their 12-player roster. So there is still a chance that they could re-sign Sundell and add her, and she could still make that 12-player roster. But the other note here is this is why the WNBA is expanding, because there are like first-round picks that get waived in this league. There are too many good women's basketball players and not enough places for roster spots for them to play in the WNBA. I'm not sure that league can get to 30 like the NBA, but certainly can be bigger than it is right now for the amount of talent that there is that people want to watch and that can make for an entertaining product.
So how many teams are there? 15?
I think they're up to 15 with the addition this year of the Golden State Valkyries. The Toronto
13.
Is that 13? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think they're going to get to 14 with the Toronto Tempo next year.
Yes. Yes, you're correct.
And then like they could easily, I mean, I think 16 is very manageable. I think they could probably even get to 20 without watering it down too bad. Anything more than that, I don't know. But this is why the league is expanding, because you have drafted players getting waived like this.
So if you assume 12 players for every team in the league,
yes,
that's 156 players.
Yeah.
There were 38 draft picks this year. Okay. 38 players selected, 156 total. That turns over a quarter of the league every year with the draft.
Yeah.
That is absurd.
It is. It's wild. And it shouldn't be. So
no, they need more teams.
They do. They absolutely need some more teams. Let's run through some more headlines here on 580 Sports Talk, on our 580 Sports Talk headlines. All right, I'll do the one where people might be interested in what I have to say about it, but I honestly don't have much to say about it. From ESPN.com, MLB worst Colorado Rockies fire manager Bud Black after win. Former Royal, it's a local headline. The Rockies won a baseball game yesterday, 9-3. They beat the San Diego Padres. That was a day after losing a game 21-0. The second most lopsided loss in club history and the most lopsided shutout loss in club history. Anyway, the win on Sunday improved the Rockies' record to an astonishing 7-33. That puts them on a pace to be the worst team in the history of Major League Baseball. So Black, who had been the manager since 2017, gets the axe along with his bench coach, Mike Redmond. In a statement, Rockies owner, chairman, CEO, and head dunce Dick Monfort said, quote, "Our play so far this season, especially coming out the last 2 seasons, has been unacceptable. Our fans deserve better, yes, and we are capable of better. While we all share responsibility in how this season is played out, these changes are necessary. We will use the remainder of 2025 to improve where we can on the field, to evaluate all areas of our operation so we can properly turn the page into the next chapter of Rockies baseball. And all I have to add to this is the next chapter is going to sound and read a lot like this last chapter. As long as Dick Monfort is making baseball decisions, nothing meaningful is going to change.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like,
they are the most backwards franchise in Major League Baseball. They have the worst analytics department of any team in Major League Baseball. They are stuck 20 years behind everybody else in Major League Baseball. And their owner doesn't want to learn anything new, doesn't want to do anything other than hang out with his buds or people that he knows. And it took a lot for him to fire the manager, but I feel like this is just like a sign of life, like proof of life from the front office. And, hey, you guys will be okay with this, right? Fired the manager. I'm going to pretend like I care for a little bit. You'll keep buying tickets and $15 beers, right? So nothing meaningful will change until Dick Monfort either sells the team or removes himself from baseball operations. And since I don't think either of those things are going to ever happen in my lifetime, well, it is what it is.
I saw someone on social media the other day, I think it was after Saturday's game, post a comparison of the 2023 A's, 2024 White Sox, and 2025 Rockies as the Pokemon Charmander and then Charmeleon and Charizard, his evolutions, just continuing to grow and become more powerful. The A's were awful. The White Sox were historic. The Rockies are somehow the worst of the bunch. And for a nerd like me, I thought that was pretty funny.
They had to make a change. It will probably improve morale a little bit. It will probably make some kind of impact on how the lineups operate, how the bullpen is operated. I do not think it will keep them from making the bad kind of baseball history. And again, I just don't think anything meaningful is ever going to change. I was joking about this with Fulton and Jake when I was playing golf with them on Saturday and talking about, because Jake is like, can you even watch baseball? Like, can you even bear to watch? I said, dude, I haven't turned a Rockies game on television since the first week of the season. I have not done it. And I watch the Royals and I enjoy the Royals. And I've often made the joke that I like the Rockies are my relationship, but I cheat on them with the Royals. And, I said, I've done that so often. At this point, I may as well just divorce and shack up with the Royals.
Yeah.
At this point, I may as well pull the trigger on that.
And it'll never be the same.
No.
But it's at least palatable.
But what has my loyalty gotten me? Right. I mean, I've been a Rockies fan since they existed. What has my loyalty gotten me?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Maybe
I get it.
I should treat myself better. I should love myself more. But I don't. I'll keep drinking that garbage.
One more real quick headline here in our 580 Sports Talk headlines on 580 Sports Talk. This came up when we talked to Matt Verderame back in the 3 o'clock hour. Spencer, I believe you brought it up.
Yes.
Trey Hendrickson issued a statement through his agent today that said the Bengals themselves, his current team, have cut off contract talks amid a dispute regarding a new deal. This from the writing of Ben Baby of ESPN. What a great name. In a statement, Hendrickson said, no communication has taken place between my camp and the organization since the draft. He said offers presented by the Bengals did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised. If he continued to play at a high level this past season, he did. He led the NFL in sacks. Quote, rather than using collaboration to get us to a point to bring me home to the team, they are no longer communicating. I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution to this situation, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and an evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. So here is my hang up here with the Bengals really quickly. One, just pay the dude. Trey Hendrickson is a really good player. He makes your team better. Even though your offense stunk even with him last year, you want one of the best pass rushers in the league around. The other thing, though, if you have no intention of signing him long-term, trade him before the draft so you can rebuild that position sooner. Now you're just going to, and Matt was right earlier when he said he's going to play, like he's not going to pass up on a year of checks, sure. But now you're never going to get a good return for him. And it's going to be harder to replace him. Just very, very bad business process from the Bengals, which is not at all surprising.
No, they're pretty typical when it comes to that. Before we get to the playoff roundup, I do owe you guys an apology that we did a whole diversion into the names on the Rice football roster, and I did not mention redshirt sophomore cornerback Mobility.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
The legend.
I can't believe
Mobility.
My apologies for the omission of Mobility. When you Google him, people also search for DeColdest Crawford.
I believe it.
Dude, person, memorable factor, and general booty.
Rowdy Beers not included, though.
No
surprise.
No Rowdy Beers. Let's get to that playoff roundup, shall we?
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We'll fly through this. Start with the Pucks. Florida even their series with Toronto at 2 games apiece with a 2-0 win in a game that got chippy at the end in Florida last night. Home teams have won all 4 games in that series so far. Out west, Dallas has opened up a 2-1 lead on Winnipeg in their series with a 5-2 win on home ice last night. Pair of games tonight. Both home teams are hoping to take commanding 3-1 series leads. One of them in question, the Carolina Hurricanes. They take on the Washington Capitals, and the Edmonton Oilers also looking for a 3-1 series lead as they host the Vegas Golden Knights. We heard earlier, Spencer, you're not feeling great about where your Caps stand after 3 games. Kind of got rolled in game 3.
They got rolled. I feel like the first 5 minutes, I'm not here to complain, but the one thing I hate about playoffs in the NHL is, one, the weather is a factor when it comes to the ice.
Yes.
In a lot of places.
That's why Colorado can't win in Dallas. The ice is a Slurpee.
And
one of many reasons.
2, the season technically has come to an end. In the summer, a lot of people go on tours. Comedian Shane Gillis was at Lenovo Center, I believe it is, on Friday night. Saturday, all the pucks were in the first period. They were like lopsy-turvy going back. There was no like Ovechkin had a clean open net. He was a breakaway, was potentially going to be a goal, and the puck rolled on him.
This is the first I am learning that the arena in Raleigh is called something other than PNC Arena. I had no idea.
Changed this year.
I had no idea it was something new.
Yes.
I can't keep track of these things anymore.
They're bringing back in the kid, Ryan Leonard. He was put out of the lineup last week for Taylor Radish. So hopefully the youngin can bring some energy tonight.
So those are the 2 games tonight. Carolina hosting Washington, Edmonton welcoming Vegas, both home teams with 2-1 series leads. Last night or yesterday in the NBA, disgusting basketball game, a brick fest in Denver. Oklahoma City outlasts the Nuggets 92-87. Neither team shot over 40% in that game. Oklahoma City made more shots late, even that series, at 2 games apiece. It was really unfair of the NBA to make those 2 teams play 9:30 or 8:30 local time Saturday, and then 1:30 local time, or no, 8:30 local time Friday, 1:30 local time Sunday at altitude. That was really unfair to both teams, frankly.
Yep.
Because neither team had any legs, and you could tell. And the deeper team had a little bit more juice there at the end. That's Oklahoma City, and why they were able to win. Not an excuse for Denver. You should be deeper. It's the playoffs. You should, that if you're flawed in that way, and playoffs expose your flaws. But it was unfair of the NBA to do that to both teams. A real shame, because that game was not as good as it could have been as a result. The other game, the Pacers led by 41 at halftime in a must-win game for Cleveland, and ended up pounding the Cavs 129-109. The Pacers with a 3-1 series lead over the team with the best record in the East. Tonight, Boston's at New York trying to even that series at 2 apiece. Golden State trying to do the same at Minnesota. That's the playoff roundup. We'll take a break, come back, talk a little Chiefs. Their running back room getting a lot of buzz. We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. 5:37 on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday. Brashard Smith, 7th-round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs, joins a crowded running back room. The Chiefs, of course, have Isaiah Pacheco still on his rookie deal, re-signed Kareem Hunt, signed Elijah Mitchell to a one-year deal. Carson Steele is back nominally as the fullback. Keontae Ingram's been kicking around on the practice squad. It's a pretty full boat. The folks at KCSN asked their viewers, their ex-followers, their opinion on the running back room. Where do you feel like they stand at running back right now? Do you feel like this is a room that provides enough different looks, provides enough of what the Chiefs were missing at the position last year?
I think it comes down to Brashard Smith. I think if Brashard Smith can be an impact player, not just see snaps, but can be an impact player year one, it's fine. It's usable. If he can't, for whatever reason, I think this is probably the Chiefs' biggest weakness.
Interesting.
I think in terms of like, let's go group by group, position by position, where are the biggest weaknesses. And I can understand if one wanted to say defensive line or defensive tackle or, anything specific like that. I would understand that argument completely. Isaiah Pacheco will probably be better this year than he was at the end of last season, but injuries to running backs are concerning, even if it's not to the leg. I just think Kareem Hunt is totally unnecessary for this team, to be completely honest with you. I don't really get why they brought him back.
So I think what Hunt does give you is an element of physicality, nose for the goal line inside the 10. I think that is something that maybe you haven't seen from a guy like Pacheco like you would like. You're not probably counting on that from guys like Mitchell or Brashard Smith. For me, I think it hinges more on Pacheco and what is he coming back next year. Can he stay on the field? Can he be healthy? Can he regain that burst? Because we all thought going into last year, Pacheco was primed for a big year.
Yes.
We thought we were looking for a career year for Isaiah Pacheco, and then he gets hurt week 2. And he comes back, and he's got those screws in his ankle, and he's obviously not the same guy. The burst isn't there. The ability to get into the open field, the ability to make one cut and find space, it's just not there. He was emphatically not the same guy.
I mean, I'm out on him, to be frank.
I have worries.
Concern about the injury that
yeah, and I just think the ineffectiveness, if you go back, couple years, like Brendan brought up, what was it, a little while ago? Oh, that was his best game ever, Isaiah Pacheco.
No, that was Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
My bad.
Different running back.
No, you're right.
Different running back who fell out of favor in Kansas City.
It just seems like
he did struggle when he came back, though.
Yeah, he struggled when he came back, and like the year before, he didn't seem to be that good, and he has a trouble pass blocking. Like I'm not I'm waiting for next year when they don't renew his contract.
Now, I will say, I mean, if he comes back and is really good, okay, well, yeah, that certainly improves things. I am a little bearish on his ability to do that. Hopeful, certainly. But I see what you're saying about Kareem Hunt and what he brings. This offense doesn't need another plotting player. That's kind of how I
would agree, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of Kareem Hunt between the 20s.
And and if that's the case, then fine. Because I look at the rest of the room, and again, I hope Smith can take off. I don't think we're going to see a lot of Carson Steele, to be honest with you. And they're going to list him as fullback again. He's going to get massacred if they play him at like an actual fullback spot. He's not big enough to be an actual fullback, but that's beside the point.
Unless he's been like in the gym.
Yeah, unless he's been like cycling all offseason. I don't mean on a bike. Elijah Mitchell, his rookie year, 2021, played in only 11 games, started 10 for San Francisco, offense that, as we know, could make any running back look great. But he was really good. He had a really good 11 games.
It's honestly not a season that looks too dissimilar from the season that Pacheco had last year. Yeah.
Yeah. He and different kinds of players, but he had 1,100 yards from scrimmage, 963 rushing yards in just 11 games. He averaged, what was it per carry? 4.7 yards a carry, almost 88 yards a game.
Yeah.
He's been in the league since 2021. That's 68 possible games. You know how many he's played?
Not a lot.
27, including missing all of last year because he couldn't get healthy.
So I kind of think their building philosophy on this was sign Mitchell, get one in the late rounds, and then Pacheco come back, and we'll hit on 2 of those guys. 2 of those 3 will help us. Not sure which 2, but 2 of those 3 guys are going to help the Chiefs. I think that's their thought process behind that. Hunt's going to be their thumper. Steele's their fullback if they even decide they need to keep a fullback. I don't think Steele's roster spot's guaranteed.
I would agree with that. No, I'm actually right there with you on that. And it's nothing against Carson Steele. I don't know that skill set or lack thereof is really all that important for this team. I think it can be good. I think the most likely way for this group to be good and productive is for Brashard Smith to be good as a rookie. We have a comment here from Paul, a question from Paul in the YouTube feed. And again, if you haven't watched this on YouTube, you should. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Is Brashard Smith the next Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round pick turned big contributor, or the next Deneric Prince, a training camp darling with extra hype who sort of disappears? So I would lean, my estimation is he is going to be more of an impact player.
Yeah, more the former than the latter, I would say.
And the reason why I feel that way, Paul and everyone, is when Prince came in, the hype was he's fast, right? I don't know that there was any hype that, this dude's a good running back. I think there was hype that, hey, he's fast. Well, can he do this? Can he do that? Didn't you hear me? He's fast. Like that's kind of the hype that Deneric Prince got. And if it worked out, then awesome. You got your kick returner, 3rd down back, whatever.
The problem was he could not actually catch the football or
hold the ball once he got it or
run
anything.
Run to holes or it was just straight line speed. It wasn't really game speed.
Right, exactly. Whereas, Pacheco had his flaws too. There's a reason he was drafted in the 7th round as a Big Ten player, even if it's Rutgers, but more of a complete player. You're going to get more from him. The way that Smith has been talked about with the role he played at SMU as well, I do think he is more of a complete football player than Prince was. So I do think he is going to be an impact guy.
And a lot of people seem to think so. Field Yates mentioned him today in an article he had about picks from rounds 2 through 7. He expects to make year 1 impacts. A lot of people buzzing about him coming out of rookie camp. I think to watch for sure, and I'll be fascinated to see how he gets used. A lot of people have compared him to being in that Jerick McKinnon pass catcher type of role. He has that wide receiver background. They could run him in motion, split him out to do maybe some more creative things with him that they maybe don't do with any of their other running backs. I think there's definitely a fit. I do think that there are a lot of question marks with this room, but they have enough depth that I feel like they're going to get some good answers to those questions, or they should feel like they can get some good answers to those questions.
I have a feeling, I don't want to say I have a feeling. I can see an outcome, a scenario in which you get 17 games of Isaiah Pacheco as your starter if he can stay healthy, but your actual most impactful back is Brashard Smith.
Wow. That would be something else.
And I don't think he needs to be great. I don't think he needs to be even a 1,000-yard guy.
Yeah.
But they need somebody who can run for 10 plus yards.
Yeah, they need
somebody.
Explosive plays. They were missing all of last season, particularly from the running game. They have got to find some explosion in the rushing attack. We'll take a break, come back, and get to some Royals baseball. They're getting ready to play the Astros tonight. We'll talk about it next. Royals trying to start a new winning streak as they head to H-Town, take on the Astros. Royals, of course, have already seen
What was that?
H-Town. That's what they call Houston.
Well, I know that's what they call Houston.
So this will not be, of course, the first time these two teams have met this season. Royals shut out the Astros twice at the K in a series win late April. Since then, it's been about more of the same for Houston. They are 20-19, sitting in second place in the American League West. They will not have Yordan Alvarez in the lineup. He is on the 10-day injured list, so that's one big bopper that the Royals pitchers will not have to deal with in this series. Michael Wacha gets the first crack at the Stros tonight. He'll go up against a bit of a surprise, pleasant surprise for the Astros rotation, Ryan Gusto, 26-year-old rookie. And yes, that is as in say it with gusto and not as in mucho gusto.
Okay, good to know.
Yes, it is Gusto. He's been quite good. He's been pitching with Gusto. 2.93 ERA and a 3-1 record in his first 9 games of this season. It'll be his first time that the Royals will see him. Royals lineup tonight behind Michael Wacha. Jonathan India will be at third base. Bobby Witt Jr. is DHing tonight. First time he has played but not played shortstop. The old half day off for BWJ. Vinny Pasquantino at first base, bats third. Salvi's back behind the plate. That's a welcome sight. Hadn't caught since April 30th against Tampa Bay. He's catching and batting cleanup. Michael Garcia gets the nod at shortstop tonight in Witt Jr.'s stead. He'll bat fifth. Michael Massey's at second. Kevin Biggio in left. Drew Waters in right. And Kyle Isbell in center. The lineup for Houston, Jeremy Pena is at short leading off. Jose Altuve's back at second base, batting second. Isaac Paredes at third, bats third. Christian Walker's the first baseman hitting cleanup. Yainer Diaz is the catcher. He will bat fifth. Victor Caratini DHs. Jake Myers in center. Zach DeCenzo in left. And the rookie Cam Smith in right field.
You're going to be weird not having Witt out in the field.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Ground ball hit to short, and it'll be somebody different out there. But again, you can do a lot worse as a stand-in than Michael Garcia, who came up as a shortstop. And you can still tell. Like, you watch him play third, you watch him play second, you can tell that's a shortstop.
If you play shortstop growing up, you can play any position.
Yeah, they put the best athletes at shortstop.
Yep.
They ever put you at shortstop?
God, no.
They put me at shortstop. I was left-handed. They put me at shortstop.
That
goes to show you what kinds of little league teams I was on where they were putting me at shortstop.
I mostly played when I was like young. They put me in the outfield because clearly they had no belief in me at all. And then they found out I actually had a good glove, so I played third, but my throws would just spray all over the place. Great glove, arm. So they moved me to first, and I was really good at fielding at first base.
I could see that. I bet they called you Stretch.
I'm sure someone did. I had a coach one time tell me I played third like Brooks Robinson, which when I was 11, I didn't know what that meant until I was
incredible compliment.
Well, I was like, hey, Mr. Mahoney, what does that mean? And he was like, oh, he's the best defensive third baseman to ever play. I was like, oh, sick. Nice. I'm sure he could throw to first base, though, without like hitting your mom in the front row. So they had to move me to first.
Hey,
I was good in the field.
That's a compliment I would carry with me forever. Like I went to
I'm 30. Trust me, I have.
I went to a camp once in the Denver area when I was a kid. I was probably about 11, 12 years old. They had a bunch of there was a training facility owned by Scott Service, the former big league catcher and manager.
Yeah.
He managed the Mariners for quite some time. Anyway, he owned a training facility in the area where I grew up, and he had some of his pals come out and do a baseball camp for a day. It was basically first come, first served. You got there, you got to be a part of the day, and like, you know, this is some like guy remembering from the late 90s that was there. Ellis Burks, Jeff Cirillo,
some legends.
Dave Beers, like, you know, some real remember some guys. But at this camp, Walt Weiss told me I had good hands. Doing
Nice.
an infield drill, and Walt Weiss, Gold Glover, former manager, rookie of the year with the A's, told me I had good hands, and Walt Weiss had great hands. So I think he would know. He knew good hands when he saw him. Just a shame I was left-handed and wasted those velvety hands. I'm telling you, if I'd have been right-handed, I'd have been the scrappiest second baseman you ever saw.
By the way, quick Bobby Witt Jr. WAR update: 2.6 for the year.
Yep,
2.6 wins above replacement. That is like above replacement level for an entire season, and he has done it in 42 games. He is on pace for a 10-win year. 10 flat.
Again. Unbelievable player.
Incredible.
Royals and Astros, 7:10 first pitch, 6:30 pregame. So we'll have some 580 Sports Talk overtime. But first, we'll take a break, come back with the final word. Final word time on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski, help us wrap it up.
Real quick one for me. 2 celebrations. One, happy Mother's Day yesterday to both my lovely wife, her first Mother's Day yesterday, and also to my mom, who has now had, how old is my sister? 36 Mother's Days for my mom. Also, shout out to my best friend, my guy Evan, got engaged this weekend.
Hey.
His long-term girlfriend had a picnic on the shores of Lake Michigan, and they're going to get married. So congrats to my best friend and to all the moms out there who celebrated Mother's Day yesterday.
I'm going to need that date, that wedding date, as soon as you know it. Go ahead and put that on my vacation board. So
I will.
So I know. Spencer Dupuis, final word.
Happy Mother's Day to my mom. I'm glad she got the strawberries today from Mary's Naries.
You mean
Boy,
Sherry's Berries?
Yes.
No free rides from Spencer, boy.
Also sending out good vibes in the air tonight for the Capitals because they
need it.
Need it really badly.
Final word from me today. I would be remiss after you guys did it to not wish a happy belated Mother's Day publicly to my lovely wife and her first Mother's Day, and my mother, and also a happy birthday to my mother, because Mother's Day and her birthday were on the same day this year. So the happiest of happies to them, the most important women in my life. The final word for me that is sports related. I think we had a pretty good finger on the pulse of who the Kansas City Royals were going to be. I think that we were all optimistic. Every one of us sat in these very chairs and said we thought the Royals were going to win the American League Central when the season began, and they have the team to do it. It is unfolding kind of like we thought they would, a team that is carried by their pitching staff. Outstanding starting pitching, a solid bullpen that has improved from last year, and an offense that, well, leaves a little to be desired beyond Bobby Witt Jr. But even if the pitching negatively regresses, there's still going to be some positive regression from the offense. And on balance, I would expect the Royals we see the rest of the way, or at least until the trade deadline when they can make a significant upgrade, going to look a lot like the Royals we've seen through the first 42 games. Overtime coming up next. We're going to re-rack our Matt Verderame conversation. We'll be back tomorrow from 3 until 6 as a group. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.